Hello, 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 welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, go get your tea, go get your drinks. What's going on? Hello. Hi. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're gonna talk more about, this pirate software, healthy gamer, GG, Dr. K situation. Okay, I know at the end of yesterday, I got kinda mad. But that's not my fault. It's absolutely my fault. I think, to wrap up what I was saying at the end of last stream, I think it's a little bit rich for somebody who is sitting there asking everybody to be more compassionate and asking everybody to give Thor a break to then turn around and call the internet a bunch of assholes because they don't like when fake self-righteous pricks pretend they're better than everybody else and then get caught lying. And the internet just doesn't let abusers get away with shit like that. Forever. Sometimes it takes the internet a while to figure it out, but when they figure it out, but anyway, that's what I think about it. I still don't hate Dr. K, by the way. I just disagree with him, which I think is healthy. So, alright, let's click this back just a couple of seconds and let's get into it because we still got a lot to go in this video. It's very interesting. This is a very interesting video. I'm glad this video exists. This is I like this shit. This is good, interesting content. This is content. Yeah, also apparently Hulk Hogan died. A shame, brother. I don't know, I'm not a wrestling person. I know a little bit about wrestling, but most of what I know from wrestling was from watching like old Spoonie videos and Egghead. All right, let's go.
You project as exceptional. And one of the things that the internet absolutely loves is to take an exceptional person and make them bad. So we love...
Yeah, but Thor's bad and isn't actually exceptional. He just presents that. It's the fake part. It's the fake part that the internet doesn't like. The internet doesn't like taking down exceptional people. The internet likes taking down people who pretend and present being exceptional when they're not. That's what the internet likes to do. I really, really don't like this representation of like the internet in the context that he's talking about. I really dislike that. Anyway.
Love tearing down people who are good, and we love redemption arcs as human beings. Right? There's like, this person thought they were the best thing since sliced bread, and we're gonna fucking tear them down. I've been on the receiving end of that a lot.
Oh, really? Have you? Interesting. I'd be curious to... You have my attention. Have you now?
And then the flip side of that...
I think that makes a lot of sense. And to be clear, I don't think of that about myself. Like at all. Like I'm constantly going over anything that I can do right, anything that I can do wrong. I remember all of my own mistakes and beat the shit out of myself for them whenever I do that, just like I feel like.
How? In what way? Why? Like again, we're back to the difference between the way you view yourself and the way other people view your behavior. And Thor's having a hard time separating that those are different things. Just because you view yourself one way, the way you view yourself is always going to be different than the way everybody else views you, because you have all the context of what you're thinking and why you're thinking it. But you can't communicate all of this to other people 100% of the time. Or at all. Not 100% of it. Part of communication is learning how to understand what the other person is saying.
Like a lot of people do.
I believe...
And yeah, this is just another appeal to him just trying to be like, oh, but look how sad I am. Yeah, so what?
I believe you do that for the stuff that you are aware of.
Yes. I mean, you
can't do it otherwise, right? Like how
things that I'm aware of, for sure.
100%. So I think that
I don't think I'm better than other people. I do think that it's funny because you key on that. There's a lot of people that brought that up, and it's like
you literally said in this interview or conversation that you thought you were better than other people because you literally said that you thought that other people were incapable of using using proof to fucking have debates, and you do that, and you think that's a superior way of doing that, and you think that there are some people that are incapable of doing that, and you put them on a lower set. Like, I investigated my own behavior and I found no wrongdoing. Yeah, you absolutely think you're better than other people.
I never said that I was. But And you'll see there's a number of people that are in there that are getting like banned.
I think I'm better than other people. Not all other people, just some other people. And I'm usually pretty clear about that. There are just some people that like, listen, some people are fucking shit. I think I'm better than Donald Trump. I think that's a pretty low bar.
Banned for this shit right now is like, they come in and they're like, did you know that he worked at Blizzard for 7 years? Like, yeah, that was my career. And I'm proud of that. So
and you ban people for saying that you worked at Blizzard when you worked at Blizzard and you're proud that you worked at Blizzard? Dude, it's a joke. It's a meme. Why are you mad?
Of course I'm going to talk about that because it gives context to talk about other things around the games industry, which is what we do on the stream.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes...
But you ban anybody who uses the word mana.
The things that I talk about in regards to those types of things is misconstrued as arrogance or boasting, when in reality, I'm just trying to give context.
So that is the problem right there. So I want you to listen to this phrase.
Sure.
This gets misconstrued as arrogance, but in reality, it's this. Yeah. That is the most arrogant statement on the planet, bro. Like, tell me I'm wrong.
Okay.
It is. Look at his face.
Don't.
I don't know if you're... Look at his... Thor's face goes from relatively, like, normal fleshy color to very red. Listen, watch.
This phrase.
Sure.
This gets misconstrued as arrogance, but in reality, it's this. Yeah. That is the most arrogant statement on the planet, bro. Like, tell me I'm wrong.
Okay. I don't see it that way, but all right.
Right? So, oh, yes.
And shut down. That's so he instead of saying, I don't see it that way, can you explain it to me? He says, I don't see it that way, but okay. I would like to point out again, Thor is currently talking to a professional. He knows he's talking to a professional. So he immediately fucking, the hackles. His face goes completely red. He got called out directly and just says, well, I don't see it that way, but okay. Is like, well, I'm just going to accept it without ever having to understand it, so that way I can never that way I never have to acknowledge it. Yeah, it was really arrogant. That's an incredibly arrogant thing to say. What I think is actually reality and what you think is just like your opinion, bro. Remember yesterday when he talked about, well, I think I'm 100% subjective? And then Dr. K asked him, well, do you think watching this talk back, you'll find yourself being subjective? I don't know. Yeah, you do. He literally just did the thing. He just did the thing.
So, you don't see it that way. You're wrong.
No.
Right? I'm right. So you're thinking you have blind spots. You're wrong. Like, I'm objective and you're subjective.
No.
This is not the way it's perceived. This is really the way it is.
I think that turns into, I guess, conversational PvP for the sake of it, if that makes sense.
Conversational PvP for the sake of it? So you're saying that, but if people disagree with me, they're just arguing? So they're just trolling? They're just trying to attack me? Oof. Unreal. And this is like, I again would like to remind you all that Dr. K has been very, very kind and very, very gentle trying to lead Thor through this. Good fucking God. Thor's mentality is incredibly immature, and it shows when he lashes out to defend himself. Yeah, he's very emotionally and socially immature.
Sense?
Absolutely. It absolutely turns into conversation. That's what you're doing.
Yes, it's what Thor is doing, not what the other people are doing. This is what Dr. Trey has been trying to get at. It's your behavior that's instigating this and fueling this, not other people. Good. Come on, what's he gonna say?
When I say I'm doing this for context?
Yes, when you're saying other people get it wrong, and here's the reality of it. Like, go back and like we can like rewind the stream and just listen to the structure of your sentence.
That is me being adversarial against people that are trying to make it out like that is an arrogance thing, that it is a boasting thing, like I'm trying to push somebody else down. That is absolutely being adversarial against that kind of speech. 100%.
I'm not. I don't think it's so. I think there's a construction in your.
He's conflating it because he doesn't want to address this thing, so he's trying to address this thing instead.
Speech, and there's a theme. If we listen, I know it's kind of hard, but you do things that are objective, right?
And subjective. I'm a human being.
Which ones do you represent? Which ones do we hear when we hear you talk?
I'm not sure I understand.
Okay. So, for example, if we were to code...
He keeps saying, I don't understand, when he knows, because he wants to, like, let Dr. K keep going so he can find a way out. He's stalling.
Code statements as subjective or objective. Okay?
Okay.
Like, so coding a subjective statement is, let's say, like, I'll just give you an example. You know, why are people getting mad at you? Or you said something about, you know, I rely on proof. So if I were to code that...
It doesn't mean you don't.
I know.
Mean, I feel like somebody could take it that way, but that's not.
No. That's I'm not going there. So if we were to code that...
He's so defensive. He keeps doing that thing where he interjects. Did it again. Wolf White said, K is way too kind for the situation, allowing Thor to dodge and deflect. Dr. K is genuine in this situation, Thor is not. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that assessment. We have one honest agent dealing with a dishonest agent, and when you do this as like an expose... I've done this scenario before, obviously not this high profile, but I've done this before. You need to be overly charitable in the conversation and sort of just let things go to demonstrate whatever the point you're trying to make is. I'm not entirely sure what Dr. K's point is that he's trying to get across. I think if we knew that at the beginning, or what his goal was initially, this would be a better conversation, because I do think that Dr. K is letting Thor get away with too much because he doesn't have like a specific goal. At best, his goal is just trying to get Thor to understand why people are mad at him, which is, you know, a nice goal to have, but not something that you're going to necessarily accomplish very well on a live stream, right? That's more of something that you're going to be able to accomplish through actual therapy. Now, what Dr. K is doing is the things that you would see in therapy, but when you make it into a stream, it adds a few additional layers on top of it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't... There's a couple things about Dr. K's methodology that I'm critical of, but I understand what he's doing. I don't like that there's just an allowance being given for Thor to just lie, and Dr. K has to just let it go. Again, Dr. K's put himself in that position where he has to just let it go because he's made himself purposefully ignorant of what's gone on. And I think that's a mistake, especially with somebody as high profile as Thor. And in this kind of a situation, you are far better off to confront someone with the actual scenario, because it gives them less wiggle room. But that's just my experience and the way I like to approach things. That's just my opinion. That's subjective. Dr. K has his own way of doing it. I'm not saying his way is wrong. It's just a way that I'm just a little bit critical because I have a different way I would do it.
That gets coded as objectively, right? That's an objective statement.
Okay, sure.
So here's a subjective statement. I feel like this is unfair.
The other thing is like, well, I do my things based off of proof. It's like, do you 100% of the time? No, you don't. You're a human, right? You're a human and you make mistakes, and you don't, just because you have proof doesn't mean you have all of the proof, doesn't mean you have all of the evidence, and that doesn't even necessarily mean that you have, even if you have all of the proof and all of the evidence, that you come to the most correct conclusion. In fact, you can't know what you don't know. So you have no idea if there is other proof going on. This is what I mean when I say it's shallow and immature. It's shallow because it's only the first step. It's only the first step to want and have the desire to look at things through evidentiary means. That is the first step. But you have to have a degree of self-awareness and be tempered to know that just because you have the evidence doesn't mean whatever you think is inherently correct. There are people out there who actually believe the earth is flat. They have all of the evidence, they have all of the access, and they still think the earth is flat. Just because you have evidence doesn't mean you're right.
Okay.
Have you said that at any point?
Yes.
Over this conversation?
I feel like I have said that because I was talking about the response is not proportional.
There we go. That's hold on. No. That's beautiful. That isn't the response is not proportional. That is not a statement of subjectivity. That is a statement of fact.
Okay.
Do you understand how I'm coding it?
I guess I could see that. I mean, like, that's me making an objective statement when I guess somebody else could say, no, it is proportional, you deserve this, sort of a thing. I guess the thing is I just don't agree with that stance, so I
feel like me and Dr. K are doing the same thing with our eyebrows.
it in the way that I do, right? With that. And I don't know if that's wrong, though, because I feel like there's a limit that seems sane. So, by sane, I mean correct and like not...
Absolutely, man. There's absolutely a limit that seems sane.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be different for everybody.
No.
Whatever their version is.
No, it's not. Because you didn't say there's a limit, because you used the word sane. Sane is like an objective thing, right? Sane is like crazy, insane versus sane. That's not a subjective thing. That is an objective kind of assessment, right? So
it's a metric. The word Dr. K is looking for is metric. Thor has set a metric for like what is sane and what is insane, what is reasonable and what is unreasonable, and he set that objectively, but the set that he used, or the measurement is arbitrary, and it's based on Thor's opinion and vibes.
Like, if we say that someone is insane, we're not saying that they're subjectively insane. We're saying that they are objective. Like, those words are about an objective dimension.
But I'm not sure I understand the direction of this. And I think the reason why is because...
You don't need to. Stop fighting it. This is something that people do when they get defensive, right? Fucking Thor is trying to predict where Dr. K is going instead of engaging in the conversation he's having right now, because he wants to defend against whatever Dr. K is going to say. But he doesn't know what Dr. K is going to say, so he keeps stalling his brain out because he's being defensive. So he's hitting this fucking wall. It's like, you need to trust the person you're talking to, or at least trust them that they are in fact an honest agent in the conversation, even if you don't actually trust them, right? So Thor is just hitting this wall because he views whatever Dr. K is saying. I don't know if it's Dr. K himself, probably not Dr. K the person, but probably like he's concerned or afraid or defensive against whatever Dr. K is going to say. And so because he doesn't know what he's going to say, it's giving him anxiety, like it's stressing him out. And so like, no, you don't... Stop assuming he's leading you somewhere and participate in the conversation you're currently having.
Because when I'm talking
dimension.
Welcome back.
But I'm not sure I understand the direction of this. And I think the reason why is because when I'm talking about these things of an objective stance of this is too far, is because the statements that people are making are really fucked up. Like,
that's your opinion. That's an opinion. That's subjective. He's presenting it as if it's objective. Like, it's really fucked up. Boom. That's a metric. That's a measured assessment, right? But it's just like your opinion, bro. Some people might not think it's fucked up enough. Would they be correct? I don't know. That's a discussion that you can have. You could set some metrics and measure that and talk about that from like a social structure standpoint, but you have to build like the foundation to do that, and that's complicated. You could probably get society on a whole, or like your stream on a whole. Like you guys in here, we don't tolerate transphobia, right? We don't do that. We don't play that game, right? But we don't grade it on a scale. We don't grade on a curve. Which is sometimes we may be more or less tolerant of someone being more or less bigoted depending on how they come swinging into the stream. Right? There's a difference between people disagreeing and people being hateful. Right? And we do that on a case-by-case basis. We deal with that on a case-by-case basis. But
do you think that it is correct to make an objective statement to be like, you shouldn't be sending me pictures of my house from Google Maps? Right?
I agree.
I don't think that's wrong.
So great. So let's take a step back for a second. Are you sure that
Dr. K is trying so hard?
It's okay?
Yeah. No,
okay.
I guess I just don't understand.
He's not okay. And Dr. K is picking up that Thor is not okay. Like he's getting more and more like prickly because he can't deal.
Understand the direction of subjectivity versus objectivity.
I'm with you. Like, so I'm slow playing it. So let me be explicit. So remember, this goes back to what you are dealing with is disproportionate, right? So there's a variable that's missing. Something about the way and now I'm making an objective statement, okay? It's not about blame. This is about assessing the way that you are existing on the internet and the response that happens to you. There's something in here objectively that is disproportionate.
Yes.
Okay? And this is completely, and even if we say, oh, here's the reason and you're to blame for it, I don't think that there's any reason that we can come up with that justifies other people's behavior. Does that make sense?
On some of these cases, yes.
Yeah, okay.
All right, yeah. So they're just right now, this isn't about agreeing, disagreeing about what did or did not happen, just to be clear. Dr. K is not sitting here saying, oh, these people are objectively wrong or these people are objectively right about whatever the scenario is. Dr. K is just laying a foundation to be like, okay, this is our platform. This is our basis of where we're going to start from.
So,
yeah, I think there is a limit.
Now, what I'm trying to get into is precisely this, which is and this sounds arrogant, but I'm going to say, so it's clear to me that you have blind spots about this, because something about the way that you are navigating, you have a rubric for how you interact with people. And something about that rubric is fucking triggering people. So what we're trying to do, so how did you feel when I said that?
That's fair. That's a fair way to put it. I like that. I like that picture. I like the way that paints that.
I thought it was funny because, like, I guess for me, it's a kind of a dumbing down of the scenario, right? Of like, yeah, it's triggering people, but it's so much more than that. But yeah.
Okay.
I think it's leading them to do things that I don't even understand the reasoning behind it on a lot of that stuff. Yeah. Right.
So I think
it's not doing that, but okay, fine. White Wolf says, I may not be LGBT or ally or anything, but there is absolutely no reason for me to be transphobic. Even if we were having a debate about it, I would be approaching it in being respectful and earnest. Yeah, exactly. The people, and sometimes people just don't understand things. And how do you have a conversation if every question is viewed as bigotry, right? And how do you have a conversation if every question is viewed, like, to frame it in what we're watching, how does Thor possibly have a conversation with anybody if every question is viewed as an attack? Right? You can't. It can't happen, and then people can't communicate with each other, and nobody can get educated about anything at all, and nobody can learn any better. Right? And that doesn't remove that there aren't people can't be dishonest in their questioning, right? And people can be, or somebody could not intend to be dishonest in their questioning, and can upset people or can come off poorly, right? And that can happen. So, like, there's a reason why I clear my block, like, almost my entire block list every couple of months. Because when somebody comes in, and sometimes people just, like, fucking are having a day, and somebody comes in sideways, and that's not their intention at all. So I clear the block list, like, every couple of months, just to, like, reset some stuff. So, yeah, and like, it also, like, depends on, like, the tonality. Like, as much as people try to pretend that there's no tone in text, there absolutely is tone in text. It's just a lot harder to discern, and the less you know the person, the more difficult it is. But let's continue.
The end game that I have here is to hypothesize what could be responsible for that gap. So in my experience, when something like this happens to someone like you, I think you're a decent dude. I think it sounds like you made a smug comment and you ran away from the raid. It's a fucking hardcore raid. So I don't know what people were expecting. You know, like, when you play WoW hardcore,
you expect the support to do the support thing, and so if the raid goes sideways, you expect the support to be casting spells to help your fucking team retreat. Especially when there's something, you know, like a frost mage, whose all their abilities, regardless how little mana you have, if you've got any mana regen, any mana stones, anything at all, you have an ability that you can cast that will slow and stun enemies. Period. End of sentence. It's not that difficult. It's really not that complicated. And trying to hide behind, like, I don't think that's what Dr. K is doing, to be clear. I'm not talking about Dr. K here. I do not buy that you can sit there and pretend that you couldn't have done anything and try to hide behind the nuance of the mechanics of a game when that's literally not the problem that people have with you at all. That is not the problem. Again, I didn't play World of Warcraft, but I know how to game, and I know how to do raids, and I know how cooldowns work, and I know what mana is, and I could sit down and I could watch that and I could assess this entire situation and talk about optimal plays and optimal decision making. You know what the optimal decision making isn't going to include? Turning around and running away for an entire minute. Insane. Insane.
and you raid, sometimes things go bad and people die. Like, that's just what happens in a WoW hardcore raid. Like, what were people expecting? But I think what you're tapping
him to do literally fucking anything. That's what people. Here's the thing. This is a little bit dismissive on his part. When you do a raid, you trust each other. It's not just about that Thor fucked up. It's if you wanted to talk about just like taking out all of the stuff that happened after the fact, the fallout, all of that stuff. The reason why people were mad at him for the raid is because there is a communication breakdown. Because you need to trust each other, especially in a hardcore mode, in a hardcore raid mode. When you do a raid, the whole point, you are a guild. Guilds are generally even called families when they stay so long together. Yeah, teamwork. It's a team goal that you're trying to do. So when you have one person who fucking completely drops the ball and betrays everybody's trust and leaves them to die, that is a very, very real and very visceral feeling. If you went out with your friends to go hunt a deer, and a leopard showed up, and your friend who had the anti-leopard spray turned around and ran away when somebody said, hey, there's a leopard, run, and then never sprayed their anti-leopard spray, and people died, you'd be pretty fucking mad. It's ridiculous. It's especially if he spent a bunch of time bragging about how great his anti-leopard spray was beforehand.
You're tapping into some energy that is like, that I think you're blind to. You don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. And my point is that the reason it doesn't make sense to you is because of the way that you are looking at the world. which is that if you
Yes.
pay attention to your statements are coded very objectively. And so then what happens is once you start looking at the world in terms of proof or not proof, I don't know if you're right, I don't know if you're wrong, but
You're wrong. I will say he's wrong. I don't know if Dr. K has actually believed that, or if he's more using those kid gloves again to be like, I'm not saying you're right or you're wrong, because we're talking about how you view things. Res420 said, fucked up is subjective to the point it can be nullified. For example, nothing said to not see can be fucked up because a not see does. Oh, Nazis. Got it. Sorry. Fucked up is subjective to the point where it can be nullified. For example, nothing said to a Nazi can be fucked up because a Nazi deserves every bad thing that ever happens to them, and then some. Yo, fair. Bypass the censor. Yeah, dude. Good job. Good job getting around that. Oh, good shit. Alright, sorry. What was he saying? Something along the lines of... Oh, Thor doesn't get it. Yeah, Thor doesn't get it because he doesn't view the world that way. Okay, so he's wrong. It's a mistake. It's always a mistake. Always a mistake to view the world in a binary sense. Because anytime you present every time you present a binary, there are 4 options minimum. And any axiom, right? So if you take, by axiom, I mean whatever point. So if I say, for example, like what the classic one is, God is real or God is not real. That's a binary. Either there's a God or there is not a God. Now you have different options of like, oh, well, maybe there's multiple gods or maybe there's this, but we're just talking about like a true or false binary. It's either true or false that there is or is not a God, right? On that, that's the axiom. You have 2 options of true or false, but you also have the option of not true and not false, and both true and false at the same time, right? So anytime you have a binary true or false, you have minimum 4 options. You actually have way more than that, but we're just talking about, like, I'm keeping it very, very base here, very simple. So if you want to say, oh, you're either looking at things with facts or without facts, or with proof or without proof, you're setting up a binary that actually includes that people are using both facts and like true and not true information, or incomplete and not incomplete information, or neither complete nor incomplete information. But the problem is when you set yourself up for this kind of like mentality where you're saying that, oh, well, I'm making all of my decisions based on proof. If you do that without the self-awareness of understanding that you can't know what you don't know, then you're setting yourself up for fucking failure. Absolute fucking failure, because how do you know that you have all the proof that you need and that your assessment of the proof is accurate? Right? What we're getting into is philosophy. This is philosophy and logic, right? There's mathematical logics that you can utilize to demonstrate X, Y, or Z, right? And there are different thoughts and processes of logic. There isn't one logic. There's multiple different kinds of logic, right? And some are effective in some areas and some are effective in other areas, and which ones you use, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But a lot of this has to do with, like, the fact that fucking these people have no idea, right? Thor has no idea right now that he's talking about philosophy. He doesn't know. He doesn't realize that's actually the conversation he's having. Because the question turns into, all right, well, what is your personal philosophy? And I suspect that Thor does not have one. Not one that he can articulate. And if you can't articulate it, how do you know that, 1, you're doing it, and 2, that you're consistent? And part of what's happening to Thor right now is the dissection that Dr. K is doing is extrapolating and explaining and exposing that Thor is incredibly inconsistent. He's a hypocrite. He applies standards here but doesn't apply them here, right?
And so then what happens is once you start looking at the world in terms of proof or not proof, I don't know if you're right. I don't know if you're wrong. But
You're
the
wrong.
question then becomes, how do two people that think that they are both operating based on reality, who disagree, how do we patch that up? How do we bridge that gap?
Philosophy! That's how we bridge the gap. We bridge the gap with philosophy and discussion and experimentation when possible, because then, you can't always, like, you can't necessarily measure what an idea is.
I mean, generally what I see with that kind of stuff is you, the way that I like to do it is you kind of present evidence and stuff, you talk about it, you find out if you were right or if they were right. And sometimes you're both wrong, right? Like it just comes out to that. You learn something, you move on. Sometimes when it's like, I find it to be disingenuous, right?
But how are you having the conversation when you block everybody? You're not doing that, though. You're setting up the scenario, and then you're not following it through. Or you're following it through sometimes, because you're a hypocrite, and you apply the rules to other things, but you don't apply them to yourself. There's a reason why I don't set standards. There's a reason why when I do these types of streams and what I'm streaming about, I don't set standards for what I expect from people. I let them tell me what their standards are, and then I assess whether or not they're following their standard. Thor is not following the standard and the precedent that he has set. It's not me imposing this on Thor that I expect he should be or behave in X, Y, or Z way. It's that Thor is saying that people should behave in this way, but is not willing to behave that way himself.
And I will use that as an objective term.
Yep.
I find it to be disingenuous to have a person come in that is not interested in a resolution, that just wants to cause a hateful situation.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's most of what I'm getting with this.
But the thing is the dishonest agent in this conversation right now is Thor. So what do we do about it? If the person who doesn't want the resolution, or doesn't want a reasonable resolution, which is Thor, because Thor just wants everybody to shut up and just believe whatever he says, which isn't reasonable, and we can go into why that may or may not be reasonable. But if we agree that that's not a reasonable thing, then what the fuck? We meme the heck out of Thor. That's what we do. That is correct. Feline, that is exactly what happens. That is exactly what the fuck happens. That's exactly it. It was like, oh, well, I'm just right and everybody should just shut up about it. And everybody goes, no. The fucking Bugs Bunny meme comes out with, no. And then they start fucking memeing on him, and they fucking call him a roach and put him in a video game, and then he tries to sue them, and then everybody laughs at him because it was fucking bullshit.
And when they can't get me, it makes them angrier. When they can't,
but they are getting you. They are, though. They are. That is 100% what is happening. It's, he's fucking La La Land, dude.
Hurt me, it makes them angrier. When they can't do anything about it, they can't shut down the stream, it makes them angrier. We get tons of people that'll come in and say things like, people still watch this guy. It's like, yeah, we still have a massive community. People love, hanging out here.
Yeah. They're not talking about you. The people that come into your stream and say, wow, people still watch this guy, aren't commenting about you, Thor. They're commenting about your community. They're talking about the community, not you. Good fucking God.
And doing stuff. So like, I feel like when I make those objective statements, it's because I go, this is how I have this situation for communication. And if your only reason to be here is to cause problems, it's not going to be compatible. But if you want, and I tell people all the time, it's like, if you want to talk about this, we can talk about it. But if you're just here to copy paste something off of Reddit, cause a scene, and then get banned, like, we just don't care. Just going to ban you.
Okay. So,
but you banned people for just saying the word ban, and you demanded everybody come and talk to you, and then ban anybody who talks about it. Kana says, oh, where's your game, Thor? How many people are working on it? What stage of development is the project in? Where's the money you raised for it? I don't know. It's only been 8 years. What do you mean? Outside of people who are just his audience, what group would claim him and help defend him in group identity? Furries sure aren't gonna protect him. That's true. Yeah. No, I know. Sorry, I knew you were being rhetorical. Yeah. No, it's a fair question.
So I think what makes
That's
this
why I'm objective about that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think what makes this really challenging is not that you're wrong.
He claimed he banned 50,000 people. Like, it's a joke. You're a joke. You're just mad people don't take you seriously, because why should they?
I think what makes this hard is that you're right. Okay? So when you're wrong, it is easy to show a correction.
I know where Dr. K is going, so I'm not gonna pick on that. I trust. Have a little faith, guys. I know where he's going.
Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When you're right, but incomplete, it becomes harder to show a correction. So like, let's say that I'm trying to think of an analogy. It's like, if I develop a product that is crappy, that is successful, that happens to be successful, it is way harder to understand how that crappy product is crappy. Does that make sense?
I would add to the analogy, just to tweak it a little bit, to make it a little bit easier to understand. I would say it's hard. If I make a crappy product, it's hard for somebody else to tell me that my product is crappy when the analytics I use to decide whether or not my product is good is based on the money brought in by how often or how much I've sold, or how many copies of the product that I've sold. Right? If I'm only working on partial information and the only thing I care about is whether or not this product brings me in money to note whether or not it is successful, and therefore successful equals good, when I equate falsely a false equation of good and successful, then there's a break there, because there's a false equivalence going on between these two things, right? So what Thor is doing, he's equating being technically right about one thing to saying he doesn't deserve any criticism therefore, right?
And I'm not trying to analogize you to a crappy product. I'm really just using this as an example of I mean, I love your content. Like, I really do. I think you're a great guy. Like, I don't think you deserve this. I'm in your corner. Okay. But you see what I mean? I'm just using that as an example of, like, if you make a crappy video game, right? And then, like, people...
Well, I mean, Thor would have to make a video game first to assess whether or not it's crappy, but okay.
Play it, that doesn't make the video game good. And trying to explain to someone, hey, I know y'all think that Oblivion is an amazing game. I'd give it a 10 out of 10, but Oblivion is the start of the decline of the Elder Scrolls series. Oblivion is the first step in the wrong direction to what ended up as Starfield. That is something for a lot of people to have difficulty understanding.
I would say that about Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII is a fantastic game. It's got issues, it's got some stuff, but it set the decisions that were made because of how successful Final Fantasy VII was, that Square proceeded to the direction they proceeded to go in, were all the wrong decisions. That's not Final Fantasy VII's fault. And that's not the fault of the fans of Final Fantasy VII. That is just bad product analysis. And they proceeded to continue to make that mistake for the next following, like, 7 or 8 games. At least 10-2 had innovation in it, alright?
Right, because Oblivion was a great game. It's a 10 out of 10. But if you want to really understand the glory that was Elder Scrolls, you have to play Morrowind. And
chat is very
also, yes, Morrowind's fantastic.
Divided on this topic.
The chat is wrong. Like, they're wrong. It's okay. Sometimes I get to be right and they get to be wrong.
It's a very objective statement.
Absolutely, right? So, and how do people respond to that?
I mean, it depends on the context, right? I think that there are moments where you can make statements like that and it's funny. It's
so
10-2 is absolutely fucking underrated.
Yes.
So I think what makes this hard in your situation is that everything that you say is correct. I just think it's incomplete. So what I'm basically getting a sense of is that you tend to...
Except for all the lies that he's been telling, but sure.
since you move away from some of this like emotional energy and you lean in, so the first thing that happens is once you suppress your like emotional circuitry, your emotions still influence your logic. Which
is not a logical thing to do, right? You shouldn't necessarily be doing that. That is not reasonable. That is an unreasonable thing to be doing. We talked about that yesterday or the day before. These are starting to run together for me.
Okay.
I
can see that. I think in times of deep stress, that gets more so.
100%. It gets very, very, very good, right? So it's not that the emotions stop. It's just that we start dissociating from them. Dissociation doesn't mean shut down. It means unaware. And then what happens is the emotion...
I'll take the professional's definition. I'll grant. Yeah, okay. I don't know about that, but for the sake of the conversation that they're having, it's a functional definition for what they're talking about. This is one of the problems with these kinds of conversations sometimes, is that you notice that they're not really defining their terms, and so that can cause a lot of confusion and misunderstandings and make conversations more difficult. So, I mean, he's defining the term now, and I'll take it.
Will shape our logic. And it's not that they're illogical, it's that it becomes more selective.
Sure. I can see that. That makes sense.
And so I think what's going on is like the story that you tell me has what I would call missing reasons. So I know that's confusing. There's a great post about it that I think a therapist made many years ago. But sometimes when people tell stories and like bad things are happening to them, they are leaving out things that evoke the response of the other people. So
it's basically when you tell a story, you don't want to make yourself look like the bad guy. And you disassociate and ignore and don't present all of the things that you did to make you look like the bad guy. Go read Am I the Asshole Reddit. It's full of that shit. And you know who notices that you're full of that shit? The internet. The people in that subreddit who are like, hey, missing information here. What the fuck did you do? It's just like stories like, oh man, my wife is crazy and left me for no reason. All I did was come home with her favorite food, and then she got up from the table, screamed at me that I don't know anything about her, and she ran out and never came back. And the answer is like, bro, what did you do? It turns out you brought home fucking shellfish, and she is deathly allergic to shellfish, and it's actually your lover who likes shellfish. You fucking psychopath. You nearly killed her. No wonder she left your dumb ass. What are you talking about? It's like shit like that. It's same with like exaggerating, right? You listen to this and you tell me if you think that Thor has one-up syndrome, where basically every time somebody tells a story, he'll be like, oh wait, but I have this other story, and he's constantly one-upping people.
When you tell a story that other people are just like crazy, and it's the internet and it's parasocial and people are reacting, there's something missing there. I don't think you can evoke. I mean, it's very possible that you are just incredibly, incredibly unlucky. I don't think that is a good attitude to take. I don't think
it's good to script you. No. I think that removes any chance of fixing that. Yeah.
I suspect that there is something around your smugness. I suspect there is something around the way that you...
Dr. K is using smugness because that's what Thor said, not because it's accurate.
Perceive yourself as ordinary, but you act anything but. Maybe even some degree of... Because I don't think you're ordinary. Like, I don't think that's objectively correct. Like, I think you're exceptional. Like, if we look at human beings, I think you're exceptional. Like, if we look at the range of various things, you are not ordinary. If we look at the bell curve of content creators on Twitch, you are not ordinary. So
I would say in terms of that, maybe, but like, I just feel like a normal dude.
Yeah, because it's your normal. It's normal for you because it's your lived experience. That doesn't mean it's normal. Does Thor think that everybody in his chat on Twitch is also a crazy fucking high-level streamer that spends 12 hours a day streaming? Could you, like, fucking go outside and go grocery shopping or something? Like, what are you talking about? Like, do you guys, like, you have any idea how insane it would be if I thought that everybody at the grocery store did the same shit that I do with like, on the internet? And, like, I thought that everybody else had the same kind of, like, analytical style, particularly, like, pertaining to politics that I did if I went to the bar? Wolf White said all Thor is hearing is placating. Yeah, I think that is true. I think that's accurate. I think that is all he's fucking hearing. Which is why, by the way, I do think that it is important to confront about when somebody's fucking lying or being inconsistent, and why sometimes, like, you have to pick and choose when you do this, as, like, if you're the person in Dr. K's seat, where you need to pick and choose when you're going to be like, no, that's just hypocritical. And you have to be, like, clear and, like, but that, again, I'm sharp. I'm prickly, and I get that. Yeah, I'm sure that if Dr. K watched me doing the same thing that he's doing here, he would have a lot of notes. And there's a good chance he'd be right. Ordinary people don't have thousands of others watching them thinking and talking with them every day. Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like a normal dude that sits in a chair for 12 hours a day.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think there are parts of you that are, and it sounds like you sometimes push these away. I think there's a lot more there. So you said, I feel like a normal dude. I think that makes sense. But I think there's a lot of feelings there about being a normal dude that maybe are not.
You think a normal dude sits in a chair for 12 hours a day? On a stream, talking to thousands of people? Like, this is what he's talking about, the missing. Like, Thor is just completely ignoring the rest of the context. Oh, I worked at Blizzard. Oh, I have a video game. Oh, I've got money from this. Oh, I make money from Twitch. Oh, I blah, 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 blah.
Not super conscious.
Okay.
Right.
I'm not sure I understand, but I think that's kind of
I think he's aware of it. I just don't think he wants to acknowledge it, because I think he wants to present himself as differently than... That's just my thought.
Point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the challenge that I have is that I'm making statements that are unfalsifiable. Right? So if I say subconsciously, you don't think you're a normal dude, how can you ever disprove that? So this is one of the frustrations with my profession, is that sometimes people like myself will make these statements, right? So I do this carefully, where, like, I'm not saying this is correct. I think it's worthwhile for you to explore how...
I think, yeah, no, I agree. I think that Thor subconsciously knows more than he says. He knows he's a big Twitch streamer. He knows, like, these are things that he knows. He's just not necessarily actively engaging with the information when he speaks and presents himself, right? And so by doing that, that creates a realm of your almost lying by omission. Like, I know that's not what he's trying to do. That's not the intention, but he's doing it almost reflexively. Or so it's happening passively. So he's passively misrepresenting himself to people, and he doesn't realize that he's doing it, right? So if Thor just goes like, somebody's like, hey, what do you do for a living? And he says, oh, I'm a streamer. I sit in a chair for 12 hours, like, like a normal dude. He is leaving out a shitload of information. And information that's contextually relevant to the question. Right? And so, like, how much it might not be purposefully malicious. Like, he might not be doing this to be mean. I think that there's a degree of the way how manipulative Thor is almost nefarious, but I don't know how much of it is consciously intentional, which I think makes it worse. Does that make sense? Is what I said just now make sense to people? Can I get, like, chat, can you confirm if what I said made sense? Because that might have been a little bit not out of pocket. That might have been a little bit. Can I get a confirmation on that one?
How you construct a narrative. What people, and this is where I think what happens is when people react to you, you look at the objectivity. I think that's a mistake. Because nothing you perceive will be objective.
It's not logical to purposefully ignore information. And so if you only try to look at objectively the literal words someone said, and you don't look at the context or the emotional state or any of those things that are involved, then you're purposefully leaving out information, which is not a logical thing to do. And yes, nothing you perceive will be objective because you can't read other people's minds.
The human brain is not capable of objective perception, by definition.
Okay, thank you for the confirmation. I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. I just want to make sure that what I said made sense.
I do think there is an objective reality, and I do think that's something...
Do you? Do you? Do you think that there is an objective reality? Are you sure? That's a bold fucking statement. Why do you think that? Like, what's your reasoning and that is a very complicated philosophical statement. Whether or not reality is or there is an objective reality. I think we behave as if there is, like, societally, we behave as if there is an objective reality because it's pragmatic, it's useful, it's helpful. Whether or not there actually is one is an entirely different fucking statement. Oh, that's... very philosophical.
By definition.
I do think there is an objective reality, and I do think that's something that there is value in striving for in many situations, because something I don't like is perception is reality. And I know that perception is reality for the grand majority of situations. It has nothing to do with the objective reality of what is truth of the situation, what actually has occurred or anything like that. It's how do I feel about what occurred?
No. That's the problem. The last bit of what he just said is the problem. Saying that perception is reality doesn't equate to feelings. He's falsely equating somebody's perception and conclusion as if it's different from his, as if it is emotionally based, and as if those emotions have no fucking value and have no place in objectivity, which is just not fucking true. Something being objective and emotions are outside of it. They're part of it. If we agree that there is an objective reality, and we agree that we are people that exist inside of that objective reality, then our emotions are part of that objective reality, making those emotions and the fact that they exist objective. It's not even, this isn't even like a reasonable statement. So like what Lord Magicus is saying people can't think objectively is just excusing a lot of lazy behavior by people choosing not to think critically and self-reflect. Yes, it's absurd to even say people aren't thinking objectively. Of course, nobody's thinking objectively. that's not even the right word. No, you can't think objectively. That doesn't exist. That's not a thing. Even in physics, objective reality is made up of subjective subreals. Right, if we want to start talking about mathematics. So it's like, does 2 + 2 = 4? Most of the time, if you're working in base 10, does 2 + 2 always equal 4? Not necessarily, it depends on what you're using. If you're not working in base 10, if you're working in a different realm of science or a different realm of mathematics, then no, it might not equal 4, it might equal 5. Depends on what you're talking about. It's almost like things are based off of context. And you know what context is? Perception. You have to perceive the shit going on around you to do anything about, to analyze anything about whether or not anything is even remotely objective. I would almost make the argument that not only do we not have access to objective reality, what you believe might be objective is still all a subset of subjective observation. All of it, including metaphysics. Including metaphysics. Is love objective? Is an idea objective? What does that even mean? Thor is shallow. One of my main criticism that I've had of Thor since very, very early on is I think he's shallow. I think he's fucking shallow. And I think I've been proven correct.
And that's something I've always felt. And that's kind of like a big thing for me.
Feels
great.
that way.
I love it.
I'm glad that you feel that way because your feelings are great and valid and your feelings are leading you to an incorrect conclusion.
With you 100%. And I would love to talk about that with you maybe today, maybe on a different day, just about the philosophy side of it. But I think my point is, so you're right. So like there's an objective reality, agree. And perception is not objective reality. So when you look at objective reality and you conclude that this is what really happened, where are we? Is that objective reality or is that your perception?
Ooh, that's a good question. Lupus for 5 said, but Chesh, his brain is logical and objective. It's all those ignorant peons who are subject to emotional bias. Yeah.
That is my perception.
Very
100%.
good. Right.
When I talk about it, I think the disconnect is this. When I talk about something and I say it with, this is what happened.
With conviction. The word you're looking for is conviction. When I look at something and I say something with conviction. I had to go put my beer in the fridge. I know I just walked away and didn't say anything, but like you can say anything with conviction, right? I can say, my skin color is actually blue. You guys don't know that. I use a filter and I use a color thing, and my skin is actually like more blue, like more blue tinted. It's not like I'm blue dabba dee dabba die, but it's like a noticeable shade of blue if you were paying attention. But you're not paying enough attention. Plus the filter that I've got going on, my skin actually has this really blue tint, right? And I'm lying. Of course it's not. That's ridiculous. And I could go on and explain how, like, oh yeah, no, just the way my veins are set up in my bloodstream are a little bit more visual, like, you can see them a little bit more in my skin. My skin's a little bit like... I can make up this whole fucking spiel and say it with enough conviction that you would be like, oh, yeah, really? But it doesn't mean anything.
Perception. 100%.
Very good. Right.
When I talk about it, I think the disconnect is this. When I talk about something and I say it with, this is what happened, that's from my perspective. And I think maybe I'm not doing enough in terms of explaining this is from my perspective, this is how I feel about it, because I don't talk that way.
Because everyone is dumb but me. Because if you don't, if you disagree with Thor, you're either don't understand what he's saying, or you're trolling on purpose. Again, I'm back to he lives in this mentality of everyone is dumb but me, but he doesn't realize he's living there, and he thinks he's being reasonable, and he thinks he's being nice to other people. Good fucking God. Your skin went through second puberty and turned blue. Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah. That's not what you should be doing. So I think this is key point. This is exactly it. So I think this solution space seems...
And you're also... The other thing is that Thor uses that as an excuse or a reason to dismiss other people's perspectives.
Hard for you to grasp. You shouldn't be further explaining yourself. You should be further trying to understand.
Yes! There you go! He needs to listen to what other people are fucking saying.
Why people feel this way about you. Right? So this is not about what is objective.
This is basic communication skills.
It is about what someone else's subjective perception of you is. And that will give you insight into how you are perceived, which in turn will give you an insight, an ability to bypass your own cognitive biases of your own perception. So if I want to understand what I really am...
Too many big words. Thor's not getting it. He lost him. Look at the eyebrow furrow on Thor. Watch.
An ability to bypass your own cognitive biases of your own perception. So if I want to understand what I really am, I have a certain amount of information from myself, right?
Yeah, he doesn't get it. And Lupus said, notice how he's always trying to explain how other people misunderstand him. Yeah, Thor is spending a lot of his time claiming that he knows what other people think and say and why they think that way without ever having even listened to what they actually said in the first place.
This is what I think I am. But then I have another very valuable piece of information, which is other people's perceptions of me. Now, this is where things get really hard, because if people are sending you death threats, it becomes
It's hard for Thor. It's not hard for everybody. Some people have self-awareness. This is the thing with philosophy and stuff like this, and like social studies. One of my things that I find about philosophy is philosophy seems to be a thing of either you get it or you don't. Right? So if you don't get philosophy and like why its value or what the point is of it, unless you're willing to put in a good amount of work, you're never going to get it. Like, it's just not for you, and you just kind of have to accept what people are telling you. If you're talking about philosophy and you understand what people are talking about, then you already get it, and you're fine. You're good to go. Now it's just a matter of discussing nuances and having interest and whether or not the conversations interest you or not. If philosophy is one of those things, like, if you get it, you get it. Like, there's not a whole lot to do. You know what I mean? But when you're talking about, like, communication skills, you can practice these things. When you're talking about self-awareness, a lot of people develop and learn these things over an amount of time, and some people struggle with it more than others. And I don't know, as a society, if we really do anything to enable that. Like, the most we really do in a society to help people learn social skills is shoving them into, like, sardines into high school and letting hormone-driven teenagers run wild and letting them fucking experiment and figure it out. Like, that's with little to no guidance and minor, like mediocre, minor fucking supervision. And, like, I feel like we could probably do better as a society, but, you know, whatever.
Very difficult to get a reasonable perception of who you are from a heavily biased individual, right?
Yes.
So
yeah, no, it's impossible at that point.
I get that.
No, like, there are people who fucking hate me. Like, absolutely fucking hate. Okay, listen, I don't even have 5,000 subscribers on this channel, and the number of people on the internet who fucking hate me is so goddamn fucking high. Like, I get harassed. I've had people threaten the cops on me multiple times. I've had people doxing me. I've had fucking, I got dragged into a court case in fucking Kansas. I got somebody trying to take the channel down. They've struck the channel twice. I'm right now precariously sitting on my third copyright strike because this guy is fallaciously bullshit striking my channel off of like he doesn't like my thumbnails. Like I get treated by like because people fucking hate me. But you don't see me sitting around bitching and moaning and explaining myself over and over again against random bullshit accusations, because why would I do that? I don't need these people to fucking understand or like. In fact, I don't want these people to like me. You piss off Nazis are gonna fucking try to hit you. That's 1-1. So, like, it's not... This is the way it is on the internet. This is to be expected. Is it reasonable? No. Should I have to deal with it? No. But it is... Reality happens. So, like, it's absurd to me that somebody who's got millions of views can't fucking deal. And it's not like I don't sit and watch and listen to some of the people who have, like, a serious bias against me. And I've done that. I've done that on streams. You guys have watched me. You've watched me do it live. And I can understand their perspective about what they think about me. And then I can sit there and I can assess whether or not that perception is accurate. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. There are things that I'm like, oh yeah, no, I agree with that. I know that I am prickly. I know that there are people that don't like me, and I understand why they don't like me. And I'm okay with that. Like, I come to terms that people don't like me. A lot of these people don't necessarily understand that that's intentional. I don't want Nazis to like me. If Nazis liked me, I'm doing something wrong.
At that. So not impossible, right? So this is where it's really interesting, but sometimes the people who hate you the most can still be very valuable information.
Also, equating criticism with hatred or frustration and anger with hatred is not reasonable. That's a false equivalence. They're not the same thing. I could be angry with Thor. I could be irritated. So, like, at the end of last time, I was irritated by something fucking Dr. K said. I was like, that's not fair. That's not reasonable. I don't like that. That doesn't mean I hate Dr. K. Clearly, I don't.
About how you exist in the world.
I agree with that. No,
right?
I super agree with that.
And the classic example of this is like in a relationship where there is one person who is narcissistic. So anytime we're dealing with narcissism...
I was wondering how long it was going to be before narcissism popped out.
It becomes really hard for that person, like, this person will perceive other people as hating them. I think I'm not saying you're narcissistic or anything like that. And I think that there's a difference between a narcissistic family member who believes that I lost weight to make them look bad. There's a huge objective gap.
What?
Yeah, so I lost weight. So I feel insecure about, person A feels insecure about their weight. Person B loses weight. Person A gets mad at person B for losing weight so that it makes them look bad. That shit happens. I think that's
weird as shit.
It's a wide gap between...
It's not even uncommon. It's not even uncommon, man.
Death threats that you're receiving, which I really do hope stop.
Yeah.
But my point is that I think the mistake you're making is that you say, I'm smug, and then you go on to all of these other issues.
Death threats need to be taken more seriously on the internet by, like, the police. You need to have better, like, laws and rules surrounding things like harassment and death threats. Like, for example, I've had people threaten to kidnap me. I've had people threaten to quote unquote take me to the hood to have me sex trafficked because this person was racist. I've had people threaten cops. I've had people threaten the FBI. I had a lady claim that she had reported me to United States security, the not border security, the basically the FBI, but like specifically like the department. Oh, what is it called? I forget. Like these things. I have people threaten to sue me. Again, I got a guy threatening my channel, threatening he's gonna sue me. Homeland Security. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Homeland Security. And the person who threatened me with or said that they reported me to Homeland Security did so while they were under the assumption that I was going to be traveling back to the States for court. I had somebody threaten that they were going to attack me when I went to court. Like, if I showed up, they were going to show up and do something to me. Like, I've gotten death threats. I've gotten, like... Yeah. Like, I have a channel of 5,000. Not even. Sorry, I shouldn't say 5,000. Under 5,000. Canis for 2 said, people don't hate you, Chesh. Nazis aren't people. Alright, fair. Correction noted.
Whereas I think you're really downplaying, whether consciously or unconsciously or whatever. Maybe it's even objectively correct. I don't know. All I know is that when you do that, people are not going to be happy with it. And when they respond to you, we're not talking about right or wrong here. We're talking about efficacy or not efficacy. Trying to understand where they're coming from with their complaints, as opposed to, so basically steel manning their argument instead of straw manning their argument.
Okay. No, I mean,
right?
I think the thing is that that's what I tried to do in the beginning, and I have not done that.
But that's not what you're doing now?
That since. I think I stopped doing that about 30 days in. I tried to sit down and talk to people about it. I tried to ask people, like, hey, why are you saying that? And each time that I tried to do that, like I said, the callus kind of built up. It would end in...
It's everyone else's fault that he's a dick to everybody, guys.
Just screaming the same thing over again until they get banned. And I haven't been able to get, like, a valid, real...
I don't believe that he's done that. I don't believe that he's done that at all.
It would end in just screaming the same thing over again until they get banned. And I haven't been able to get like a valid, real conversation out of it. I think the biggest thing is that I've only been able to receive really polarized responses. I either get people from our community, they're like, no, you're the best, you didn't do anything wrong, which is not true. Like, obviously I screwed up in the dungeon, right? Like, that's obvious, and I was smug about it. Like, get it, right? And then there's the other side of it, which is, you're a piece of shit and you deserve to die. And I'm like, dude, these are so polarized. What am I supposed to get from this?
So
read between the lines.
So the solution that I am suggesting works with humans.
Yeah, and Jack points out we are nearly 2 hours into this and he is back at square one.
I don't know if it works on the internet.
It's a very different thing, right?
No, absolutely. Right? So in the real world, when someone gets mad at you, like, I want y'all to... I get what Dr. K is saying, but I do not fucking agree with calling the internet not real or not the real world, particularly when you're talking to somebody like Thor, right? Thor's entire existence is nigh exclusively online, right? His job, his money, his reputation, who he is as a person, all exists on the internet. That is a massive, massive percentage of his real life. Right? That is the real world. It's not 1995, guys. The internet isn't pretend anymore. It has its own ecosystem, its own social expectations. It has different pockets. It has commerce and economy. It has, like, it's not
It is the real world at this point in time. We need to, as a group, as everybody, we need to move away from this mentality that, like, what's happening here, our conversation that's happening right now that we're doing, is real. It is part of real life. It's not pretend, it's not fake, it's not, like, it is a little bit different than talking to me in person. Sure, it's the medium is different than, like, sitting around at the bar. The location is different. The power dynamic is unique, but it is real.
Think about if people behaved. No, absolutely. Right. So in the real world, when someone gets mad at you, like, I want y'all to think about if people behaved in the real world the way they do on the internet, shit would be crazy.
Depends on your community. Are the death threats not real world? You think people can't mail you fucking death threats, or people can't say in real life that they're gonna kill you? People do that. It happens to women a lot. Like, a lot. You want to talk about blind spots? The amount of harassment that happens on the internet happens to women in real life, in the real world. A lot. Like, you think the number of comments that women get catcalling them on the internet is exclusive to the internet? You really think that this conversation that I'm having with these people here would be any different if we were sitting at a bar? It wouldn't. Why? Because there's no reason for anybody to be behaving in any untoward manner. But bar fights happen. There's a degree when you start talking about, like, degrees of separation. When you start talking about people that are, like, making fake accounts or whatever purposefully to harass people. And that you think that, or you expect that those people who do that online would not do that in real life. And I would posit to you to go look at what's happened with the company that we've been watching the last 2 years. This group of people that have been running around on the internet, reaching out to people's real life family members and ex-family members, trying to harass one random person and then going to court over it. And you tell me what counts as real life and what people are willing or not willing to do or say in real life. There are lots of people who say racist stuff that wouldn't be willing to say those racist stuff to people's faces. That's the main thing, right? You don't think that there's people that would walk up to Thor and call him a roach to his face. No, there's lots of people that would do that. I would suspect most. I suspect most people that have called fucking Thor a roach would be willing to do so in real life. I would. I'd be willing to do that. Most people in this chat would, right? Part of it depends on, like, when you become bigger, right? Your percentage of crazy people that have this degrees of disassociation, right? But I think it's I think that this is I don't agree. I agree with the concept, but I don't agree with, like, the reality, I guess.
That's actually already started happening. This has spilled over into people interacting with me that way in real life.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I mean, that's...
Well, like, there you go. The complete... Thank you, I guess... Surprise!
You know, even if someone does something... I don't know what Thor did to hurt y'all, but I don't think he did very much objectively. Maybe I'm wrong.
Why? You're basing that off of nothing. You're basing it off of his story that you've already admitted is biased and full of holes. So why in the flying fuck would you believe that he doesn't deserve to get called out? or called a roach, I might agree that he doesn't deserve death threats, but I also want to know what the context of those death threats are, because like I said yesterday, how do you know that those death threats weren't directed at his character, not actually directed at him personally? I'm gonna listen to it again.
This has spilled over into people interacting with me that way in real life.
Yeah. So, well, yeah. And I mean, that's like, even if someone does something, I don't know what Thor did to hurt y'all, but I don't think he did very much objectively. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Like, so that's where, like, even when I say that, the way that I attach a statement to it, maybe I'm missing something, right? But my understanding of the situation is that you were kind of an ass about something involving a WoW raid. And then my guess is that you were kind of an ass with the way that you responded to it, because you're really good at being an ass, like in a way that I really appreciate, but you're an ass. So it's
when
what
I say
makes
smug, that's the same. Yes. I would
agree. Yeah. So like what I love, I've sent you a couple of DMs because like I'll see your shorts or whatever, and I'll be like, this is fucking amazing. That assholery that you exhibit, where you have these kind of base takes, is like what makes you amazing. And when that kind of emotional energy comes out where you did something wrong, and then I think what happens is the way that you frame your response is, it's not that bad. I didn't really do too much. Everyone made mistakes. Like, it's like you'll say you make a mistake, but that's not what comes across. Right? So if you and I have a fight.
I made a mistake. The reason I made a mistake was someone else's fault. That's what he's saying. And that's what he does. So he didn't really make the mistake. It's actually someone else's fault that Thor made a mistake.
Right?
So I feel like I'm being direct, and other people feel like I'm being evasive.
100%.
Okay.
So I want you to think about this for a second.
I've always had problems with that.
I can tell.
100% of communication failure in me.
I can tell 100%.
That's the thing. I couldn't have this conversation with anyone else because it was just polarized and obnoxious every time I tried.
Because you don't listen. He's had to pull teeth with you for nearly 2 hours. And you're still on step 1. And he has to be another streamer with nearly 3 million subscribers for you to fucking take time to talk to you. And you ban anybody who tries to say anything to you in your chat. And the power dynamic is fucked. You couldn't have this conversation with anybody else because you refuse to have the conversation with anybody else. That's not on them. You're back to, well, I tried, but it's other people's fault. You're still fucking doing it. Unfucking believable.
Yeah, had that conversation, and I get that. So, I've had issues with that my entire life, because it's hard for me to be like, if I say something, I go, hey, here's the thing, and they go, oh, he's hiding something, and I'm like, but how else can I say this?
Yes,
and that's. Yeah.
So I think that's huge. So now I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
If this you believe
is unfucking believable.
You are being direct, and other people believe you are being evasive.
Yeah.
What kind of model would you develop for, like, shit happens on day 1, and what are things going to look like on day 100? It's just going to get worse, right? Because the more that you're pouring a liquid on the fire, you think it's water, they think it's oil. And things are just...
That's why I tried... That's why I tried all those different things along the way of like, hey, we'll talk about this, we'll do this kind of a thing. Try to communicate this in some other way. And I feel like I ran out of options. Jesus.
Yeah. So I really do. And maybe it's like...
At least Thor has a comfort cat.
Like me giving you the benefit of the doubt, and this will trigger people as well. I think
1 step forward, 2 steps back.
You've done the best that you know how to do. I think you've done a really good job in managing this really shitty situation.
No, he has done a terrible job at managing it. He doesn't know what he's doing, and he refuses to listen. If 1,000 people say you're a dick, maybe you should consider that you're being a dick. I consider maybe I'm wrong on a regular basis and double check with people. It's called checking yourself before you wreck yourself, dude. And actually having some kind of self-awareness. Just because 1,000 people say you're a dick doesn't mean those 1,000 people are right. But it means you should fucking consider it. Fucking hell, dude.
I feel like it, but I don't know if that's true, right? Like, I don't know.
So I think what's true is, I think most human beings do the best that they know how to do.
Yeah, I agree with Feline. Right now, Dr. K is fueling Thor's idea of self-righteousness. Saying that Thor did his best and he's doing his best and it's a really shitty situation is throwing all of the people who have been wronged by Thor under the bus. For the sake of Thor's ego. They're being sacrificed for Thor's ego. And I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that at all. I don't like it. I think that's wrong. And I just don't, there's not really any reason for Dr. K to do that, except for the fact that he wants to maintain a relationship with Thor because he likes him.
And oftentimes, we don't judge people based on...
It's also making Thor go backwards, right? Thor starts to come to a realization, and then Dr. K strokes his ego, and then Thor is reverting backwards instead of moving forwards. I think maybe Dr. K, if I'm being charitable, I think maybe Dr. K is trying to encourage him, but it's actually having the opposite effect.
What they're capable of, we judge people based on what they do. So when someone is hurtful to me, like, I'll give you, I know it's kind of a weird abstract sentence. So when I'm in the emergency room, someone is high on crystal meth and calling me an ass fucker or whatever. Sorry, maybe that was too much.
It's fine.
I've heard it.
I mean, that's medicine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when they say things like that, like, the objective impact of those words is like, that's what they're doing, right? That's hurtful. And at the same time, the most peaceful and harmonious way to go through life is to do our best to, like, understand where this person is coming from, right? This person is
All right, if you say so.
Crashing off of crystal meth. Their dopamine transmission was 10,000 times normal 2 hours ago. And
I guess now everybody who criticized Thor are now all drug addicts that have, like, need medical attention.
Now they are completely dopamine depleted. The more that we can do that, objectively, what they did was unacceptable. And also, like, if we treat people that way, like, it doesn't work well. It just doesn't work well. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying it's just. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's like, it doesn't work. It's not harmonious. And I think what's been going on with you is first.
What? What is this? What? You lost me. I'm sorry. You've absolutely fucking lost me on this analogy. Maybe somebody can correct me if you think that I'm wrong, or I can get some kind of fucking clarification. But if you get, like, cussed out in the street by a meth addict, do you, like, what? What? I don't understand. I don't understand this at all. In this analogy, is the meth addict are the people that are criticizing Thor, or the people that are not criticizing him but attacking him? Right? And I think Dr. K is saying it's harmonious to just brush those things off and you shouldn't take those things too seriously. Maybe? Huh? Dr. K is trying to appeal to a sense of empathy that Thor doesn't have. Oh, maybe.
First of all, people are not doing that for you. They're doing the opposite, right? People are not saying, hey, this guy is like, so for all the accusations, so, like, I remember seeing something on LSF about people accused you of cheating in Outer Wilds or something. Like, this was one of the things. I don't know if that's true or not true. People seem to think that they have very convincing evidence of that. I don't really get into it. I still need to play the game. Please, no spoilers. My point is that in those moments, even if they're objectively correct, I think the right thing that we need to do as humanity and the internet is cut people as much slack as we can. And this is where a lot of people...
Okay, but what does that practically look like? If we say, hey, we are pretty convinced that Thor cheated at this game, what slack is there to give? Besides presenting the evidence and say, hey, we think he cheated at this game, here's why we think that, and here's our evidence of doing so. What are people supposed to... What's the slack that you're fucking expecting from people? Because it sounds like you're telling people to ignore it. It sounds like you're telling people that they should just let Thor cheat. For reasons. Why? Why should we do that? Because it's harmonious to leave con artists and liars and cheaters alone? Because, like, to me this sounds like, hey, listen, if you want to have a happy marriage and you find out your spouse is cheating on you, to be harmonious, you should ignore their cheating. This entire interview has completely neglected, and I think in a really bad way, has completely neglected the damage that Thor is doing to people, and the damage that Thor is doing to the platform, and the damage that Thor is doing to other creators, content creators. It's completely ignored and neglected those things. Or the damage that Thor did to the OnlyFans guild. Right? And what has happened after this? This was 2 months ago, this video. What's happened after this? Thor's continued his pattern of behavior. And he's harmed other people. People like Ross. People like things like Stop Killing Games. Political shifts and movements for consumer protections. Has done objective harm to those things. So, why does Dr. K think everyone on the internet should fucking bend over backwards for Thor? It's the same question I asked when I was talking about Osmongold. Why does Thor think we should all bend over backwards for poor Osmongold? Why? Why should we? What's your objective reason? What's your logic?
People will say, oh, we cut him slack. No, you guys don't cut him slack. Like, we don't. Let's be honest. On the internet,
What is the slack? What you're saying cut people slack, but you haven't defined what it is. What slack are people supposed to do? We think Thor cheated at a game. Here's why we think that. Here's the evidence of him cheating. What does cutting him slack look like? Saying, oh, maybe he didn't cheat on purpose? What? How does that make any fucking sense?
Feel judgmental towards someone, the most knee-jerk reaction is to not cut them any slack, but to dogpile them. That's what happens.
I have literally been being as charitable as I possibly can, and even when I'm being charitable, it just, like, it's still bad. It's still bad.
It's a very primitive human psychology thing of, like, when one bully is beating someone else up, we're going to get our kicks in, especially if it helps us feel good. Now, the problem, Thor, is that I think you are guilty of exactly the same thing. We all are. It's a human deficit.
Sure.
Okay? But you're guilty of it too, because I think what you say, hey, I was just smug, that's not how it felt to other people.
I think that was me dumbing it down.
Yes.
To a flashpoint moment, not the full story.
Absolutely. So, and that's where you're screwing up, because you will dumb down your flaws to one word, but you will extrapolate and hypothesize other people's flaws to the nth degree.
I don't think that is a fair assessment.
Okay.
Personally. Yeah, and I don't feel that that's a fair assessment, because I don't feel like I do that to people, when I'm talking about, hey, these are all the things that came after this, that's because that has gone on. Like the moment was like a day. The attacks for that have been 100 days.
Okay.
So there's so much more.
Again, if you fuck one goat, it's one moment in time that you were fucking a goat. You're still fucking gonna be labeled as a goat fucker forever. You roach on a raid, you're gonna be a roach forever unless you fucking do something that means like, oh shit, I fucked up, I didn't mean to do that, I panicked in the moment, I'm really sorry guys, I'll never do that again, and then actually follow through and not do that thing again. Jesus.
Or content to talk about in terms of how
Okay.
much negativity there has been.
He's doing the same thing.
I rescind my statement.
Yeah.
So I accept that there is, okay, so here's how I would modify it. So I think you're...
At this point, I think Thor is a bully, and I think this stream is helping Thor be a bully.
right. I take that back, and I apologize.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
and I think the perception from my end is still the same.
Okay.
Right? So we heard a long story from you. Even if it's congruent with reality, one word of what you did wrong, smug, and then 99 words of what other people did wrong. Even if it's correct, I'll agree that it's correct. My point is that when a human being shows up and says, I did one tiny thing wrong and everyone else did 99 things wrong, the reception that they're going...
And all those other 99 things led me to do something wrong.
...to receive is not going to be pleasant.
The thing is I don't know if that's always the case.
It's not always the case.
Because what I've found more often than not is I'm trying to give context of like, here's all the stuff that happened from my perspective. This is the response that the person has from it. They, at this point, it's, because it's so exhausting, it's like, take it or leave it. It's like, here we go. Have the thing.
You're right.
That would be fine if that's what you did. That's how I deal with a lot of criticism. Legitimate and illegitimate. I look at it, half the time I watch it live, we talk about it, and then I either explain, or I elaborate, or I correct myself, and we move the fuck on. Yeah, Canis makes a really good point. There's being nice, and then there's straight up fabricating a narrative to make someone feel better. Yeah, and yeah, Dr. K's at the point where he's just making shit up.
You're 100% right that it is. So I think the big difference is who the person is.
Yeah, I can see that.
If you were a human being who was physically assaulted on the street, you could say, here's the one thing I did wrong, here are the 99 things they did wrong, and everyone would be on your side. You, however, have some combination of luck or the way that you interact with people, which you kind of said like you've struggled with this. So I see that this is like, it's like a difficulty with mentalizing is what we call it.
I don't know what mentalizing means.
Mentalizing is the ability...
Hey, that's one of the first times he heard a term that he didn't know and then just straight up said he didn't know. Good job. Improvement.
To understand other people's thought processes and internal experience. Now, I know this seems confusing to you because you are really good at cognitive calculation of those things. But there's a big difference between understanding their internal experience and calculating their internal experience.
Okay.
You're really good at calculating, which is, I think, what you've managed to do. You use that...
I don't think he's very good at calculate. Well, that's not true. I think he's very good at calculating and then purposefully misrepresents and weaponizes the parts that he picks and chooses out. So he'll calculate what somebody thinks, then he'll take out he'll cherry pick out the parts that he wants, and then present those as if those are the fact, and those things will be whatever he thinks will make him look good or his argument look stronger. Do you know what I mean? Which is manipulative. It's emotionally manipulative, it's logistically manipulative, it's dishonest. And I would go back to saying that I think that there's a point where I'm not sure how cognitive Thor is, how aware Thor is that he's actually doing that. He's describing projection without saying it directly. Yeah, there is a bit, there's absolutely a degree of Herbert, you're right. Hello, welcome. There's a degree of projection going on, for sure.
And you're not alone, by the way. A lot of people have this. I have this. Where we calculate our way to understanding other human beings instead of like understanding their subjective experience. It's cognitive empathy versus emotional empathy.
I think you have to do both sides of that.
You do. 100%.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And like,
yes.
No,
unless you can't. Some people cannot. So some people are not able to emotionally empathize or struggle with emotional empathy. I struggle with emotional empathy. I do not empathize with people on an emotional level. If someone is sad, I will cognitively understand that they are sad, communicate to then understand why they are sad, and then I will proceed from there. But I will not be sad because somebody near me is sad. I don't do that.
I think for other scenarios, I feel like I have done that.
Yep.
Of like, hey, I can understand, hey, this person is doing something illogical, but they're doing it because from their perspective, it makes the most sense. Like you explain the person who's like high on meth, right? And they're having a freak out and they're screaming stuff at you. What they're doing doesn't make sense for everyone else around, but from their perspective, maybe they feel like they're getting attacked. Maybe they feel like all this kind of stuff is going on, right? So I understand that side of that completely. But with this scenario, like I said, it was exhausting at this point. That's fallen away. The layers of I guess giving a shit about empathizing with attack people that are coming in is just gone.
I completely agree.
But you don't have to empathize with them to understand and not misrepresent them. That's called integrity. Now it's just an excuse of, guys, I'm tired of being attacked, so fuck you. I know I said fuck you first as soon as you said anything. But now I'm tired of you attacking me for such a long period of time, so extra fuck you. Because that's all this is. This is just people saying, hey, you fucked up, and him saying, fuck you. And then people saying, hey, no, fuck you. And him saying, no, fuck you. Yeah, he is being analytical again. He's doing it again. He's stuck in a loop, guys. We're in a loop. We've entered the Twilight Zone.
And so what I'm sort of this is more of like a long-term thing where like, and I think this is also where like if any of y'all are in this situation, right? This idea of like, I keep on doing what I think is the right thing, and it keeps on messing things up. And I think
so. Then maybe you should stop bashing your head against that wall and try something different.
You had a brilliant way to for me, it clicked. I think I'm being direct. Other people think I'm being evasive. So yes. I think for people, if y'all find yourself in a situation where you're like, I'm doing everything right. And by the way, this is like in the line.
I think that you're an idiot. If you have the thought, I think I'm doing everything right, you're wrong. And you need to probably get out of a habit of doing that. Because the answer is you have no idea if you're doing everything right or not. Because how could you possibly know? You could say you're doing your best. But saying that you're doing everything right is already like an arrogant, ego-driven position to take. Now, if you're like, I'm not saying like you're wrong or a bad person for having that thought, right? You're like, that's a normal human thought that people are going to have, but you need to temper that. You temper that defensive, defensive response that you learn to be like, hey, well, wait a minute. Why am I being so defensive about this?
Kind of a narcissistic defense, right? So a narcissistic defense is one where you think you're objectively correct and people around you are like wrong. So that is like,
I don't think I'm objectively correct. I'm just giving my perspective.
I'm not saying you are. I'm saying this is in line with a narcissistic defense. So I'm talking about the general principle, not about you. So, and this is just what...
Except that the general principle applies to Thor. Ha ha, funny thing that. Where's the kid from... Nelson, is that his name? The kid from The Simpsons? I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons growing up. I missed it. I missed The Simpsons. I did go back to try to watch some of it, but I just couldn't get into it. It was too late. I've missed The Simpsons train. I heard that South Park came back swinging. I haven't watched it yet, though. I'm gonna have to.
Happens. So this is what all human beings do. When we feel attacked, we tend to... The narrative that we portray is shaped in a certain way that, like, we don't really control. Like, so if I'm talking to a narcissist, I think... So let me just take a step back because I got to do a better job of this. So the first thing is that the narcissistic defense mechanism is something that all human beings employ. In yoga, it is called the ahamkara, or the ego. So, like, we all, in order to function in life, it is very difficult for us to look at ourselves objectively. Now,
it is impossible to look at yourself objectively. You can do your best, but your best will never be objective. It's impossible to look at yourself objectively. You can't. It's something called the burden of knowledge. You know too much. You can't look at yourself from an outsider's perspective, which also, by the way, is not objective. So because your perspective of yourself is not objective and other people's perspectives of yourself is not objective, you literally cannot objectively observe yourself. That is not fucking possible. Not with our current cognitive existence as human beings. Now, if we were to evolve into fucking balls of light or turn into Q from Star Trek... Maybe that's possible. It doesn't seem to be possible for Q, but, like, for an example, if we were to evolve beyond what we are as human beings and what we have to acknowledge that we are, we don't even know what time is. Like, we have a perception of time that is not accurate, and we know it's not accurate. Like, we measure time, and the way we measure time, we know that it's not what time is. Because time is fourth dimensional, and we are three-dimensional beings. It's the same thing with, like, a two-dimensional being trying to recognize a third dimension. They might be able to measure it, they might be able to observe it to some degree, but they don't really know what a cube is from a third-dimensional being's perspective, and we don't know what a cube looks like to a fourth-dimensional being. I recommend, if you want to blow your mind a little bit, go look up point perspective drawing, and go look, like, just observe what point so a lot of the times the way you observe the world is 2 to 3 point perspective, right? Up, down, left, right, right? But you can get up to, like, 6 point perspective. And that is just going to give you, like, a visual sort of representation of understanding that there are way more ways to look at things and way more ways to present and observe things than you might normally experience in your day-to-day life. And let's not get in. We never go. Don't even talk about solipsism. No, bad. No, get out of here.
What makes it harder to look at ourselves objectively is how much people attack us. So the more people attack us, the more our emotional and mental reaction is to defend. In the same way that if I was standing next to you and I tried to punch you, if I made a fist and I tried to punch you in your abs, your belly would harden. You can't even control it. You had to have no choice but to harden your abdominal muscles as I tried to punch you in the stomach. In the same way,
I have some, but yes.
In the same way, when we are attacked by someone, and this is true of all streamers because we get attacked a lot, our narcissistic defense must compensate. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. I'm not calling you a raging narcissist. Please, no one take...
That's not... That's physics, not social studies. We're crossing our streams everywhere. But what about the second law of thermodynamics in a closed system? No! Okay, doctor, please, no, don't do this. There is no! You've been literally spending the last hour and a half talking about how the reaction is disproportionate. Which means there isn't an equal and opposite reaction. It means that there's a disproportionate reaction. What are we doing? We've lost the plot. We're gone. Goodbye.
Take that away. Okay?
Oh, they will.
I know they will, and that's why I'm going to call attention to it. But this is something that if they're calling attention to it, they're missing the point. If anyone is listening to this conversation and still thinking this is about how Thor is a bad guy, y'all are fucking missing the point of this conversation.
I don't think that's the point of the conversation, but I think it's the conclusion people are going to draw based on the things that Thor is saying. And I think that those are two different things. And I think to try to preemptively disregard that is a reasonable conclusion that people are going to come to, as if they just don't understand the conversation and are trolling, is not a good look.
What you are going through, Thor, is something that every human being on the planet will go through in some form. Every human being on the planet will do something where they make a mistake, and a lot of other people, and y'all, like, you guys tell me if you're...
Yes, Dr. K is making the same mistake that Thor is doing. He's trying to get ahead of the criticism by saying, I'm right, or what I'm presenting is right, and everybody who disagrees with me is either trolling or doesn't understand. It's the same fucking thing. It's the same fucking problem. Lots of people do this. This is all over the internet.
I'm wrong, chat. Have you ever been in a situation where Thor is something that every human being on the planet will go through in some form? Every human being on the planet will do something where they make a mistake, and a lot of other people, and y'all, like, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, chat. Have you ever been in a situation where a lot of people made mistakes, including you, and then you owned up to your part, but people dogpiled on you anyway? And when they dogpile on you anyway, you did something stupid.
Hey, here's the main problem, Dr. K. Thor didn't own up to what he did.
You behaved like Thor did, and you defended yourself. And you said, hey,
Thor didn't necessarily even defend himself either. He fucking went on and attacked people. And banned people for trying to have the conversation, and now is misrepresenting what even happened and what went on. He's fucking lying. And here's the problem, Dr. K. You're enabling him and justifying his lying. It's almost like there's a reason that 2 months after this, he's still in the same fucking kind of situations. The World of Warcraft thing hasn't really gone away, but now everybody's focused about him doing the exact same thing and behaving in the exact same way as fucking for Stop Killing Games. It's almost like in your attempt to help him, you've actually enabled him to be worse and escalate the issue. It's almost like this is backfiring.
Objectively, here's what I think happened. Here's my perspective. And the more you try to defend yourself, the more angry people got with you. I would be stunned if this has not happened to every person in chat at some point in their lives. And so what we're talking about now is this cycle. This idea that, okay, I'm objective, other people are subjective, because I absolutely think you have that bias. By
you just justified his cycle.
The way we all do, but like I think it's very prevalent in the way that you talk. The really tricky thing there, and I have to acknowledge this, is it's not clear whether that is actually what's in your head or that is just the way it comes across, because it absolutely comes across that way. So when I said you owned up to this one thing and then you talked about all this other bad stuff that happened to you and you're like, objectively, I disagree. I did this one thing and I literally have 50,000 people. And I was like, okay, you know what? You're right. But even though you're right, what people are going to hear, their limbic circuits of the brain are going to hear, yeah, I was smug and all this shit happened to me and it's not my fault. That's what people are going to hear. And when people hear that...
It's almost like people are going to hear that because that's what he's saying. He's saying, hey, I did this one thing wrong, but the reason I did this one thing wrong was everyone else's fault instead of my own. That's what he's saying. And his explanation is shit. Because if you actually look at this scenario, what he did was not a reasonable response. So even if it was, oh my, but this guy said to run. Okay, but running doesn't mean literally just drop whatever you do and run away and leave your friends to die. So even in the scenario, it's like, again, this is why I was so concerned at the beginning. Why I watched like 2 minutes of this and I was like, this is gonna backfire. Dr. K doesn't know what happened. And so he's enabling Thor and Thor's bullshit and Thor's lies. And in doing so, you're making the situation worse. It's one thing to be like, okay, but we're not gonna debate the things that actually happened. We're gonna talk about how to resolve socially your reputation. Because that's what's really gone on. If we want to talk about what the real problem is that Thor has, is that his reputation is going through the shitter. So what you need for this scenario, if you want to fix it, isn't a psychologist. It's a fucking PR agent. So get a PR agent. I mean, also get a psychologist. Like, go to therapy and fix your shit. Get your shit together. But also, like, if you want to fix your reputation, you need to get somebody who knows how to do that. And knows how to, if you're having trouble navigating PR and a social situation, you need to hire somebody who does PR and knows how to navigate these things.
Dude, that's weird for me. Legitimately.
Yep, I know.
Because, like, from my perspective, I'm like, hey, you know, I screwed this up. This is how this went down. Here's my perspective on it.
Yep.
And then the response is, you didn't take any accountability. You're a piece of shit. Why won't you just say it?
Do I need to go back and play the part where he said, the thing I did wrong was being smug about this because this guy told me to run and I did what he asked me to do? Bro, that's still not the thing that people are pissed at you for.
I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense to me in response.
Yeah.
Like,
so,
for me, that's such a disconnect between those two conversations.
And this is not about right or wrong, fair or unfair, just or unjust, true or not true. Now what we're talking about, like, so we're a channel that talks about the mind. So you're saying, I said this, someone says you don't take any fucking accountability. And you're like, that is a disconnect with me. I completely agree. That is the one thing that I think we can all agree on. Is that whether they like you, dislike you, whether they like whatever, the one thing we can all agree on is that there's a disconnect. Other people think that you're disconnected. You think they're it's not even about you, but or other blame. There is absolutely a disconnect between the kind of response that you're getting and what you're doing.
Part of the issue and the reason that Dr. K is not succeeding as well in this conversation as you would expect him to is because he doesn't know what happened. So he doesn't know when Thor is just straight up lying. And the problem is there's a lot of fucking straight up lying that Thor is doing that is packaged and wrapped up in this other issue, right? So Dr. K is trying to deal with this other issue, but this other issue is packaged in, there's lies inside of it. And so because he doesn't know what is a lie and what isn't a lie, he's not going to be able to successfully, like, unwrap and unpack this ball of fuckery.
There is a disconnect for other people between what you did and what you're owning up to. That's my point. So, like, when I started this conversation, the key thing is that there's a circle that's empty. That's the only way this can be explained. And the question is, what's in the circle? And what I found, if y'all find yourself in a situation like Thor, I find the hardest thing is oftentimes the best thing to try to do, which is to try to understand when someone says, I don't take accountability, or they accuse me, they say, you don't take accountability, to do your best to try to understand that. And I think you've done that, because it sounded like for the first 30 days.
I agree, chaotic. Thor definitely comes across as if he believes he is the smartest person in the room.
You engaged with people in conversation.
Yes.
And when you engage,
and I found that the reactions started to get more and more, I could use the word unhinged, but it really just comes down to more and more unbending of, I just want to make an attack. I just want to go in the chat and make an attack. I just want to go on your YouTube and make an attack. It wasn't in good faith to have, like, I want to have a conversation about this. It was,
That's a scaling issue. That's you're getting a bunch of people telling you the same thing over and over and over again, and you don't have the mental to compartmentalize those things. And when I say the mental, I mean, like, you know, when you're playing video game and you mental bloom, that he doesn't have he's not in the headspace to do that and have that conversation.
Want to be here to throw a punch.
Fortitude is a good word.
So I think that there's two things that I hear there. One is, once again, this pattern of the more I do something right, the more wrong someone appears to be. Right? So I tried to listen to them. They became more unhinged. They became more unbending. So that can absolutely be the case.
Which is weird, and a tacit admission of Thor saying he wasn't willing to bend at all. That's projection. He's saying these people are less willing to change their mind because I kept repeating myself. So he was never flexible or bending or willing to listen in the first place. He just wanted to tell people how it was, and when people didn't believe him and tried to continue the conversation and explain, he viewed that as what he was actually doing. Thor never asked the question of, am I even right? Yes. Yeah, the foundation that this is all built on is Thor lying to himself at best. This whole thing is built on, this whole castle that Thor's got for this scenario is fucking made of sand.
But do you see how this is another scenario where you behaved correctly and someone else behaved incorrectly?
I feel like that is an incorrect response, because the first thing that'll be brought up is they always say, well, you didn't
stop worrying about God, you gotta get out of this fucking headspace, my guy. You gotta get out of this fucking headspace. Well, they're gonna do this and they're gonna do that and they're gonna do this. No, we're fucking focus. Stay on track.
Can you blame? And I go, here's in this post.
No. What did you hear me say?
Maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you did. yeah, you didn't listen. Good call out. I'm glad Dr. K stopped him this time.
Just pointing, your statement was, I tried to listen to people and they became more unhinged.
Yeah.
So I want you to
code. I think that the people that are still.
No, don't worry about the people. Hold on.
Okay.
Code that sentence. Look at the grammar of that sentence.
Because it's objective.
I did something right and they did something wrong. That's what I hear when you say those words. And this could be where your disconnect is. I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way. I'm just saying, here's another statement that you made. I tried to talk to people. They're crazy.
I don't think, I think there's an objective reality there, though. When someone comes in and says, you didn't take any accountability for this, and I go,
it doesn't matter what your justification is. You need to fucking acknowledge what you're saying and how people believe that. Holy shit. Yeah, Dr. K needs to stop saying, I'm not saying you're wrong. Like, at what point does Dr. K say that Thor is wrong when Thor is being wrong? Like, maybe that's like being a doctor of psychology. Maybe that's like the idea of like being Thor's therapist and role playing as if he's Thor's therapist on this stream, is that he doesn't say that he's wrong, because usually your therapist isn't there to tell you that you're wrong. I think that there are probably times when a therapist does have to be like, okay, yeah, but your response is wrong. Like, you can't do this. But that is probably like a habit and like a cadence and like a standard of practice that your therapist doesn't do that. But the thing is Dr. K isn't Thor's therapist. This isn't a proper session, and this is being streamed on the internet. You don't think that Thor is capable? I think that if Thor was actually going to therapy regularly with the understanding that, like, hey, something is wrong, I feel like, and that something is related or has to do with me, if we could get that far, then I think that he would be capable. But we can't move an inch. And Thor's projecting that everybody else is inflexible.
Post, I said I did this wrong. Here on this video, I said I did this wrong. And they go, that never happened. Like,
okay.
What am I supposed to do with that?
Very good. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay. So I know it's crazy. I know it's crazy. Okay. So bear with me, Thor. Try. Don't read chat. Focus. Ignore chat. Okay.
Don't read chat. Focus. Listen to what I'm saying to you. I'm playing that again. I like that.
Like,
okay.
What am I supposed to do with that?
Very good. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay. So I know it's crazy. I know it's crazy. Okay. So bear with me, Thor. Try. Don't read chat. Focus. Ignore chat. Okay. So
he's still reading chat.
Here's the problem. You're not wrong. That's what's so wrong. That's what's so hard about this. So when you engage with people for the first 30 days, I think there's let's think about it, okay? There's a selection bias. Who's going to come talk to you? The raving people.
No. The people that are going to come to him first are the people that are in his own chat already. This was live streamed. No. No. The first people that are going to be talking to Thor are his fan base. No. This was the scenario that we're talking about was live streamed on Thor's channel. He streamed it. The first people that were there talking about this that Thor was interacting with was the people that were watching him on his own stream. Wrong! Completely wrong! Oh no! And also, who's gonna come and talk to you? The raving people. Why? No, what makes you think that? Like, what is that? You want to talk about selection bias? My fucking god! Holy shit! You know what? I will give this stream something. At least every day that I've watched this, there's been at least one part of the stream where I'm like, Jesus Christ!
I think that was the initial wave, and then it calmed down to people that were kind of willing to talk, and now it's just the raving.
Whatever. Yeah. So like when you open yourself to conversation on the internet, let's be honest, the likelihood that you get a balanced person who really is willing to take a step back and admit their flaws and understand how they're wrong and is not projecting something on you is low.
That depends entirely on your brand. That is entirely based on the way you cater and build your community. And how you're approaching having what conversation. Right? Are you talking flat earthers? Are you more likely to get an honest or a dishonest flat earther? I open myself up for conversation and have conversations regularly. I have a whole other channel called Debate Hub, which is all about philosophy and psychology and science and having discussions and politics and learning about these things and talking about these things. And we have those conversations all the time, and we mostly get honest people coming to talk. When I went and read through the Canadian conservative version of Project 2025, there were earnest conservatives that came in and chatted. And the earnest conservatives that came in and chatted were chill and cool and fine and understood some things and didn't understand other things, and we had that conversation. Some of them stuck around, some of them didn't. And then there were a handful of fucking crazy people. Because of course there's always going to be a handful of fucking crazy people. But you can't make the assumption that everybody's going to be crazy because they started by saying something you don't like. That's confirmation bias.
Not what the intention of me talking about it was when I was engaging in those conversations. The way that I feel about that a lot of the times, you're not going to get through to the person who's angry on the internet.
Okay.
You generally won't. They're not going to sit down and have a valid...
That just tells me that you don't know how to de-escalate somebody who's angry with you. So Thor is self-reporting that he doesn't know how to de-escalate somebody who's mad at him. Or somebody who's angry or somebody who's upset. Okay, but that's a skill issue. That's something you can practice. That's something you can learn, right?
Conversation with you. They're not interested in resolving that. Most of the time, that person doesn't care, I find.
Mm-hmm.
With that in mind, if you don't say anything... I feel that on the internet today, if you do not say a thing in defense of yourself at all,
yep,
everyone believes the only voice in the room, which is the one that's negative.
Okay.
Why? You do know your actions and behaviors speak for themselves, right? I have lots of people who accuse me of, like, threatening to dox somebody, and I have a history of saying doxing is wrong and you shouldn't dox people. Do I have to every time somebody makes this ridiculous... I got people that run around and saying that I want to murder 3-year-olds. You want to know my response to that has always been? Why stop at 3? Is that because I'm actually going around fucking advocating the murder of 3-year-olds? No. The context of the clip, the context of what went on... My response and my history speaks for itself. I don't need to be on the defensive. Bro would crash out in retail. Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. So I put out a video about all this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Released that. And immediately everyone was like, oh shit, maybe this is too far. And I got a whole bunch of people actually sending me positive posts for the first time since all that happened.
Cool.
So the stance that I've taken on all of this is I go, here's what I saw from my perspective. This is what's been going on to me.
But what you saw from your perspective is a lie. You claim this thing happened and it didn't. You claim you did this thing and you didn't do that thing. It was streamed. We can see it.
Then there's kind of a camp of people that say, fuck you, I hate you. And then there's a camp of people that go, that seems reasonable. And
there you have the problem with this false equivalence, this false dichotomy, this false binary. This is not a binary scenario, it's a scale, like it's a sliding scale. There are people who absolutely hate Thor, and they're absolutely correct. These scales aren't exclusive. If you hate Thor, it doesn't mean you're wrong. They're separate scales. Somebody can be 100% correct about Thor and hate him. This is at the point where all he's doing is fucking tone policing. He's like, you can only be critical of me if you're critical of me in the right way that I pre-approve of.
Just kind of hung out with people that think that it's reasonable. Because I don't know if there's another solution to that scenario.
Yeah, so I think that there is another solution to that scenario. And
there's 100 billion ways you could have handled this.
So that's what I'm trying to point out to you is there's a certain way in which you communicate, which I don't think is wrong, but gets consistently perceived, like we mentioned earlier, direct into evasive.
I don't like the word wrong here. The way people communicate is either effective or ineffective. It's not necessarily right or wrong, right? This isn't a moral question. It's like, so calling it wrong is kind of superfluous, like it doesn't mean anything. So you would say that Thor's way of communicating is ineffective because he's not able to get across the message that he intends to get across. But that, again, is also assuming that Thor is an honest agent in this conversation, and Thor is not a fucking honest agent in this conversation. Right?
So when we, like, you just, and I don't know if this makes sense, but I want you to, like, I don't know how to say this, but you're a programmer, so maybe this will make sense. I'm trying to put it in language that I don't understand that I hope you will.
That's a really bad idea. If you don't understand the language, you probably shouldn't try to make an analogy in that language, especially if you're talking to somebody who does understand the language. So this is probably a bad idea, but go on.
I know what I'm talking about. Code your statements. I tried to talk to people. I presented proof. They became unhinged. So, like, if we code that statement, I did something right, they reacted wrong. What I hear frequently in the way that you communicate is that structure. Now, what makes this so confusing is that I'm not saying that that statement is factually incorrect. And if anyone who is
He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. He just interpreted that as, so I'm right. That's what that hand gesture was. I'm gonna play it again. Watch. Watch. Watch Thor.
In the way that you communicate is that structure. Now, what makes this so confusing is that I'm not saying that that statement is factually incorrect. And if anyone who is dealt...
He's covering his mouth. He looks down. His eyebrows furrow. And then he lets it go. That says everything you need to know.
Confusing is that I'm not saying that that statement is factually incorrect. And if anyone who has dealt with other human beings knows this, you can tell another human being something that is factually correct, and they cannot give a damn and double down. In fact, that is usually what happens.
No. It's because of the way you present the information. You can be technically correct and still be an asshole, and then people are criticizing you for being an asshole, not for being correct or incorrect. That's the definitive line of what we're actually talking about. But there's a problem with the scenario. Thor isn't correct. He was never correct. He lied about it. He's lied about it in this video. So your analogy doesn't fucking work, Dr. K, and it's due to your chosen ignorance and neglect that you cannot deal with this scenario, you cannot deal with Thor appropriately or in a way that is effective because you chose to not know what the fuck you're talking about. This is negligent coverage at best. At best. And the fact that it is a personal bias that he wants to help defend Thor and bolster Thor. For why? For what reason? Why are you doing this? And asking everybody to bend over backwards and cut him some slack? What slack? For what? He lied. What slack do you want me to give? Just let him lie? And just be like, whatever. This is what happens when you compound a problem. If and that. If this, then that. Right? If you want to talk about programming, then you use if this, then that. Thor, if you lie, then people are going to get mad at you. If this, then that. Right? Can we agree that if you lie, people are going to get mad at you? Sure. Let's pretend Thor's in the room for a second. Thor says, yeah, if people lie, people are going to get mad. Okay, cool. So if you present what happened, or you say, hey, I'm just a guy who sits in a chair for 12 hours a day. have you accurately represented yourself, or have you left out a considerable amount of contextual information that would be relevant? Yes or no? Because the answer to that is yes. It's like, okay, so then did you lie by omission? You purposefully did not provide relevant information to make people think, or that would lead people to believe wrong things about you. Deliberately. Yes or no? If this, then that. So, if you left out information that purposefully misled people, then you're lying. So when you lie, people are mad at you. If this, then that. If you present the World of Warcraft situation, and you present it in a way that makes you look good while ignoring and leaving out other pieces of information, people are going to view that as you being dishonest, and they're going to be mad at you. If this, then that. So then you have to get into, all right, well, maybe we can discuss what denotes lying. What counts as lying, right? Because that can be broad, right? I think that is a lie by omission count as a lie, right? Does a lie require malice? I don't think so. Does a lie require something to just lead people to misunderstand something? Right? And you can discuss that. You can have a discussion about what constitutes and what counts as a lie. And different people will come to different conclusions. I'm not trying to tell you that you can definitively, that there is some definitive definition of lying, but you can come to something that is feasible and workable practically. Right? Knowing something is false, having reckless disregard. I think that Dr. K is being dishonest in this video. Do I think he's lying? No, I don't think he's I don't think what he's doing is lying, but I think what he's doing is deceptive. And I think it's deceptive intentionally, but I don't think it's deceptive with malice. I don't think Dr. K is being malicious by being negligent and being purposefully ignorant. And I think that he was honest at the beginning and said, hey, I don't know what this scenario is, but I do think that it's dishonest to make definitive statements about things like this that Thor just said, and then reiterating on his behalf something that you don't actually know is true. You're just taking his word for it. And you're assuming that he's telling the truth. And you're doubling down when you're actually enabling and insisting him into lying to justify his behavior, and his behavior is bad. His behavior is not good. In Thor's case, he leaves out context because he knows that being honest about the situation will make him look worse. Yes. Correct. I'm gonna play this bit again.
In the way that you communicate is that structure. Now, what makes this so confusing is that I'm not saying that that statement is factually incorrect. And if anyone who has dealt with other human beings knows this, you can tell another human being something that is factually correct, and they cannot give a damn and double down. In fact, that is usually what happens. So what I'm sort of getting is like, this is the disconnect. I do wonder whether you are blind to, there's a certain kind of accountability that people are looking from you that you're not giving them. That doesn't mean...
What is it?
This is...
Do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to spell it out for you in crayons? I can do that if you want. It's not that complicated. You just have to promise to not shove the crayons up your nose. I don't want any snotty crayons left over. Because the answer is... not blaming other people for shit you did. And actually being honest about what happened. And acknowledging factually what happened. And then probably admitting that you lied.
is what I'm digging into. So one is maybe it's
people want you to acknowledge that you're being a hypocrite and then stop being a hypocrite. They want you to acknowledge that you're applying rules to everybody else that you're not willing to apply to yourself. You set a standard and then you don't follow that standard, but expect everybody else to do it, which is not reasonable or logical.
In the way you're giving it. So it's not that I'm not saying you need to take more accountability, okay?
Any accountability would fucking help.
I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. But my point is that when I see this pattern, and it could be just like, it's like a perceptual thing, because the way that you're talking is making people more upset, which doesn't mean that you're wrong. It's just like the way that I'm communicating is ineffective.
At best, it means you're ineffective. He's also wrong because he's lying, but it means that his way of communicating is ineffective. What's happening right now is how bad people learn from good-intentioned psychologists. All this is going to do is help Thor learn how to lie and manipulate people better. Because when the psychologist doesn't know or doesn't acknowledge the context, this is how abusive husbands or wives or spouses use and weaponize couples therapy to continue their abuse. This is how this happens. Thor is currently picking and choosing what he's hearing. Thor has not budged it's been 2 hours and Thor has not changed or adjusted his perspective or the way he's even described the scenario at all, in any way, in any capacity whatsoever. And Thor is just going to continue to play dumb until Dr. K gives him enough shit that he can utilize to try to rewrite and re-represent what happened. And then he can justify treating everybody else like shit and bullying them. And he has a psychological way of showing it. He has a way he can, like, more logical only, quote unquote, ways of delineating it. Or disseminating it.
Effective at resolving this issue. So,
Dr. K, a really good question to ask him is, what would resolving this issue look like? What does Thor think that resolving the issue would look like? What's the resolution?
A simple thing, and I'm not saying that you should do this, but I'm curious about this, is I've noticed that you tend to be incomplete. I've noticed that you tend to be complete with your answers. So when I look at that X thread, right, you try really hard and you do a great job. You're like, here's what happened, here's what happened, here's what happened, here's what happened, here's what happened. Have you ever tried to be incomplete with the smugness? Just talk about the smugness.
If I try to be incomplete with it?
Incomplete with the whole story and just focus on the smugness.
I don't think this is a good way to ask the question, but I know what Dr. K is getting at. What Dr. K is getting at is, have you ever considered not talking about the rest of the scenario and only address this one particular thing? Like, stay focused on one issue instead of bringing in all these other issues, right? And although these other issues, other things might be contextually relevant, focusing on this thing.
What does that mean?
Let me
like not give any context whatsoever?
Supposedly, we all already know what the context is. If you want to give context, just provide a link to the 5 minutes of video and say, hey, here's the context of the link. I was being smug. Here's the timestamp of the part I was being smug at, and then talk about it. Then you've provided the context without your perception and your statements around it. Let the context speak for itself.
Yeah. Let's say yes to that. I think that's a bit of a hyperbole, but
just an emotional response?
No, just say, hey guys.
Okay, I don't know if you guys caught that. He just said without any context, and Dr. K said, yeah, sure. I mean, that's not quite right, but for the sake of conversation, and he said, so just an emotional response. Context is not separated from emotion. These are different things. This is an equation that he's equating context with logic and removing emotion from context, and that's just not true. If I said, "Hey, I hit somebody with my car, and contextually I got in a fight with them," or contextually they sexually assaulted me 2 days before. Is that emotional? Is that emotional context? Or is it factual context? The answer is it's both. If somebody shoots a man outside of a courthouse, are they justified? You have no idea. The answer is you don't know. Because all you know is the action that some person shot some other person. You have no idea about whether or not it's justified or not. So it's the context that's going to give you your decision about whether or not you personally believe that shooting was justified or not.
So basically, when you tell the narrative, you start with like, I made a mistake, everyone made mistakes, I was smug. And then there's a lot that comes after that. How would you feel about just ending it after that first paragraph?
I hate that.
Okay.
I have like an immediate, emotionally angry response against that.
Very good.
Because it feels like idiocracy.
Okay.
It feels like, that's too long, didn't read, I don't need all those words when few words do gooder. That I hate that shit. Like I super hate that kind of communication of like there's a lot of people that say like, oh, you should just say my bad, guys. No, that does not in any way explain a situation. That doesn't tell you
People aren't asking for your explanation. People are asking for your acknowledgement. Those are different things. He hates it because he feels he cannot prime people to gaslight them into believing his version of events. Yes. He doesn't like it being shorter because then people have to come to their own conclusions. And he wants to be able to control the narrative.
The information that is real,
we don't need your commentary to come to a conclusion, dude. You provide the fucking clip of what happened and you let people come to their conclusion. You just don't like the conclusion people came to, so you've been fighting it ever since. And that's why people are fucking mad at you, because in doing so, in fighting it ever since, in defending yourself, what you've actually been doing is attacking other people and shitting on them when they didn't fucking do dick shit to you. You posted it, you streamed it, you did the action, and you're the one being a dick. Grow the fuck up.
It is hand-waving for the masses in a way that is disingenuous to what happened and
the masses. What about it? Why is saying, hey, I fucked up, my bad, disingenuous? What about that is fucking disingenuous? I mean, that's pretty straight fucking forward. You can provide the link to be like, here's the live stream and all the detail, like, here's what happened, you can watch it if you want more context, but hey, I fucked up, my bad. Thor is hiding behind logical analytics, like to logically explain and logically analyze what did and did not go wrong as a way to avoid accountability and just saying, hey, I fucked up, my bad. If I code something in a game or an application, isn't it usually the shortest, tidiest code in the best kind of code? You would think.
Disingenuous to the people that are involved. I feel like to do that.
So you think it's disingenuous to not attack other people when you're taking accountability for something you did? Because that's what you're saying in this context, because we watched what happened.
That would be just me lying for the sake of lying so that people would fuck off. I really...
So there you go. He thinks that leaving out information is lying. So what I said before is valid.
I really hate that. That absolutely feels like idiocracy to me.
I think Alex has assessed this situation perfectly. Bro hates that he's being perceived as a scumbag, so he's trying to bury that perception with a narrative that no one is buying. Nailed it!
100%. I don't like doing hand-waving gestures for the sake of hand-waving gestures. I don't like that at all.
That's not what it is. You don't want to say you're sorry and it's your bad because you don't believe you did anything wrong. You think that it's everyone else's fault. You've made that incredibly clear. So you believe that taking accountability and saying, hey, sorry, my bad, is idiocracy and is hand-waving to the masses because your language is actually exposing that you think you're better than everybody else and you think everyone is too stupid to be able to assess a situation for themselves, so you need to assess it for them. And if they don't agree with you, they either are too stupid to understand or they're trolling you on purpose. The reason why people are going to come away from this discussion thinking Thor is a fucking asshole is not because they don't understand what Dr. K is saying, like Dr. K said earlier, or because they're being dishonest or taking advantage of and misrepresenting something. It's because Thor's being a fucking asshole.
And I don't know if that's a wrong thing to feel, but that feels fucked up to me.
No, I think it's great.
Do that. I could go on the internet and just be like, oh yeah, my bad, guys. But like, that's not real. It doesn't make sense.
I think that's great. So I think what I
agree that Thor should not apologize if he doesn't believe he did anything wrong. But the fact that he right now is saying that he refuses to acknowledge that he did everything wrong, and then Dr. K and him are sitting here saying, well, you took accountability. Well, he's literally sitting here saying he's taken no accountability. I don't know what to tell you. In one breath, they're like, oh, well, you've taken accountability, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then in the next breath, they're like, well, I didn't do anything wrong, so I'm not apologizing. So that's not taking accountability then. And so you're acknowledging that you literally never did that thing. And now you're telling us why you didn't do that thing. It's because you think you're fucking better than everybody else. You think everybody else is fucking stupid. And you just don't like like what Alex said. Nobody's buying your bullshit. And what's happening is it's causing other people to reassess their perception of you. And it's now they're like, oh, okay, but what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And what about this? Which are just prior issues that have gone uncontested because people, did that thing that Dr. K lied about, saying that the internet is fucking just looks at the worst in people all the time. No, if people looked at the worst of everybody all the time and took things the worst of everybody all the time, Thor wouldn't be one of the biggest streamers on the platform, and neither would Osmongold, for that matter. If people assumed the worst, people would have noticed a lot of the problems surrounding Thor sooner. But they didn't because they assumed the best. Or at least better. This is absurd. This interview flies in the face of exactly all of the issues they're pretending are a problem.
Liked about that response. So my hope. So we're not here to rehab your PR, right? We're just here to have a conversation.
Really? Are you sure? Are you sure that's not why you're here, Doctor? Because it seems that seems to be what you're fucking doing.
And at the same time, over the last 2 hours, there's something about the way that I hear you talk that rubs me the wrong way.
Oh, is there? Is there now? Go figure.
There's something about the way that you talk that seems
arrogant? Hypocritical?
dismissive. So I'll tell you.
Dismissive is a good word. I'll give you dismissive.
No, I agree with that.
Right. So it's like, I made a mistake. We all made mistakes.
Okay.
Right. So there's something about your sentence construction. It's like, oh yeah, Thor, I'm sorry I cheated on you, bro. I really do love you. We both have flaws in this marriage. Like, do you see we're not married, but you see what I mean?
Now that you've cheated on me.
Yeah. But so there's something, and I don't think, and this is what's so tricky is I don't think you're wrong. I don't, and what we got
the way that
from you.
I feel about it.
Yeah.
Is that I don't even know if the word, it doesn't feel like a lie. It feels like
appeasement.
It feels like appeasement for the sake of appeasement.
Yeah.
It feels like they're asking for something.
You feel like you're losing. You feel like you're losing if you acknowledge that you were wrong about something, because you've built up a persona in your head of being the smartest person in the room, and now you have to acknowledge that you did something wrong and you weren't correct about something, and you think, and that flies in the face of what you've projected to everybody else. But you have to then, again, yesterday we listened to him be like, I'm not perfect, so of course you're just, it's ridiculous of you to have had this expectation of me that I've set up and presented that and said that you should expect of me. People don't expect you to be perfect, though. People expect you to be reasonable. People expect you to take criticism seriously, or at least take criticism with like some kind of like weight to it, and like address things honestly. People expect that from you because you presented yourself and you project that and say that other people should behave in this way. It's really interesting that Dr. K is like, oh, nobody should take away from this that Thor is a narcissist, but I'm describing Thor and this scenario, but I'm not talking about him, I'm talking about the general concept. And it's really weird that the general concept applies so clearly to Thor. And then saying that people are going to be mad, like people are just mad if they come across, if they come to the obvious 1 + 1 = window scenario that you fucking set up. Which I think is dishonest. I think that you're setting up, I think that's a setup. I think that's bait.
That they know is not real, and I'd be giving them something that we both know is not real for the sake of giving something that's not real.
So he is saying that any acknowledgement that he has made, or any apology that he would give, acknowledging that he did something wrong, would not be real. So all this fucking 2 hours of him saying, I took responsibility, is a lie!
So that they stop being mad about something that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, so I think I think the key thing there is I was trying to figure out what won me over when you said that. And I'd be super curious if like how chat reacts to that as well. I'm not looking. I don't think you should, but because I think that's what people are missing from you is like when you, and this is what I think makes you great, is when you actually, your best content is not when you're logical. Your best content is when you're emotional. And the logic supports it. Like there's logic there, but you're like, look, I'm not willing to do that. Could I do that? Absolutely. I just don't think that's right. Yeah. I think that this is like a stupid fucking appeasement world. I'm not going to be like all of the other streamers.
Bruh, it's real. You just think it's real. It doesn't mean it's not real. Or so you just don't think it's real. It doesn't mean it's not real. He values authenticity. Deep down, he still doesn't feel like he did anything wrong, or did much wrong. Coexisting truths. Quote, I think you're all wrong, and if I explore the potential that I am wrong, it will make me uncomfortable, so I continue to pontificate and defend. I like that this person's name is Daddy. Daddy is correct! The goal is not to be right, it's to de-escalate. The two goals are in conflict.
Who post bullshit apology videos for the sake of appeasement and virtue signaling. I think that I kind of fucked up. I'm not done. This is a fucking hardcore WoW. People die in hardcore WoW. Like, I think you've been accused of making fun of another mage or something like that too. Like I saw some post about that. I don't know if that's true or not true, but look, it's Twitch.
We can talk about that if you want. That was my bad. But.
Yeah, and like it, but like that's fine, right? Like I mean, I play Dota like.
Oh my god, he actually acknowledged that he did something wrong, said my bad, and Dr. K is just like, that's fine. Like, no, don't fucking do that.
As much as I would like to anymore. And I got to play Expedition 33. But when I play an online video game, especially an MMORPG where tensions are high, I'm going to blame my teammates. I do it all the time. Right? And
then be better. Hi, I play League of Legends. I play support. You know what I do when I'm playing support in ranked? I suck dick. Because that's the way to get the team to work together, because I want to fucking win. If somebody makes a bad play, most of the time, if I'm typing in chat, I say, shit, dude, good try, I saw what you're doing. Or I'll take blame for shit that I didn't fucking do and be like, fuck, dude. Because winning is more important than my fucking ego. Because winning is the ego thing. You separate those things out. If anybody's ever watched or listened to me play League of Legends or play ranked League of Legends, brother, there's also a really big difference between what I type in chat and what I say out loud. And then what's in my brain. These are all different things. So just because you're both fucking assholes to the people you're playing games with doesn't mean it's okay. Like, what are you talking about?
If I say something like that, it feels dismissive. But something about what you just said, you're like, this is the line in the sand that I'm drawing. I've tried my best. I admit I have blind spots. Some of this stuff is a disconnect for me. I think you got to really work on that. Right? So what I would, I'm thinking about what that practically looks like. But I really...
Fair and reasonable, yes.
Really think that something about the way that you construct your sentences, which is objective on one hand, but I think it's also... I think it can be both. I think it's objective and
it's manipulative.
There's a little bit too much dismissal. It feels that way when I listen to you.
So when I'm talking about this kind of stuff, what I'm trying to get across is this seems like the most realistic scenario. This is what I saw from my side.
To you.
It's not me trying to cast blame away from myself. It's going...
It is. It is, though. That's exactly what it is. Because what you're saying isn't true.
No, we all fucked up. That's the reality of the situation. We all fucked up. And
I'm not... Okay, at this point, I've watched the clip. I've watched it. I'm gonna play it again. I'm gonna pull it up and play it again. I am not convinced that we all fucked up is even a true statement at this point. I think most people would be willing to be like, okay, yeah, sure, we all made mistakes, whatever, and most people would be willing to move on. But he has made this statement so many fucking goddamn times, I don't actually believe that it's true anymore. What did the other people do wrong? What did the other people do wrong? Well, you called a run. Yeah, and you interpreted running as in you stop casting spells, which is an insane assumption to make that is not an assumption literally anybody would make. Nobody who plays games hears run and thinks, I don't have to do anything anymore, I turn around and leave. Nobody thinks that. Especially when they are friends in a guild playing a hardcore mode and have been playing this for years and spent hours and hours and hours running raids together. Literally fucking nobody thinks that. Nobody fucking thinks that shit, dude. I don't believe you that everybody did something wrong at this point. At this point, I think you did something wrong. You doubled down, continued to hang out in that guild, and harass those other people. The fact that they didn't kick you out of the guild right away already tells me that these people are fucking charitable as shit. And they tried their best. And you made their fucking time a fucking shit show. You made their guild a shit show. You fucked up this whole scenario for literally everybody. You're the problem. And all Dr. K is doing is stroking your fucking dick. Fucking hell, dude. Tell you what. I'm gonna play it.
What?
I'm gonna play it again. You guys watch it. You guys take a look. And you guys fucking come to your own conclusions in the chat or in the comment section. And you leave a comment and you tell me what you think went wrong in this scenario. You tell me. I'm going on vacation tomorrow. I'll be back in a week and we'll finish up the last part of this. We are at 2 hours and 15 minutes, and this is still 3 hours and 36. So we made a lot of progress today, but I'm not able to finish this today. I'll be back when I get back from vacation, and I may or may not be more or less pasty when I return, because I'm going to the fucking beach. Like and subscribe so you don't, miss me when I get back. Okay. Bye.
Boss is coming too, watch out.
Yeah. Well, I got shield wall. God damn
Run,
it.
run.
Just run. Can you target dummy?
I can target him, yeah. Should I do it?
Just kill the massive. Yeah, target dummy. Kill the massives.
No.
Aussie, are you fine? Any grenades,
I got last
anything?
stand. You can just
Heal him,
kill
heal him.
Yeah, you just heal me. Just come back a little bit.
Boss is on me, sitting bear form.
Snuppy, just run.
I can help a lot. Yep.
Pirate, why are you walking, bro?
What are you talking about? Why am I walking?
This
Look
is
at my mana.
savageable. Come
Innervate
on,
you?
man.
Just kill the mastiffs.
Innervate.
Innervate the
Use
healer.
Nova, bro.
Kill the
Come on.
mastiffs. We got
He
this.
heals.
In the sense of
War something?
Do you see my mana? What am I supposed to do for you?
Just kill the mastiffs. One shot. Okay, we
More
pulled
on
another
the way,
pass.
more on the
Run
way.
now.
Ice Nova.
The mastiffs can be ice novas.
Dead, I'm dead.
Now we're gonna wait.
Nusara?
No.
Okay, get out.
Run.
Evocation's on cooldown, man.
I can taunt last
How much mana is
moment of
Ice
as well.
Nova? There's no that much mana.
You have a boss in you. You called run.
Getting slowed.
Fuck. Wait.
Anything for me?
I can-
Snuppy. Oh,
I
no.
don't think... I cannot stun him. Also,
No,
are you
just
good?
run out.
Are you good? Also,
boss-
Mods
Hey,
were
not
fed $1.76.
Fuck!
They called
The boss
run.
came up after,
I
like, the
ran,
Masters
and I was
2,
out of mana.
after we,
I don't know what the hell they were expecting, dude. That does not make any sense. No, they overpulled 2 polls and the boss. Like,
Fuck.
no.
Oh, no.
I mean, the regular ogres can still be polyed. We just had the boss and like 5 mastiffs and 2 ogres. We could have polyed 1 ogre, killed 1, and then walked it out.
yes, literally, just even an Ice Nova would have been enough.
You guys pulled that when I had...
You instantly ran out, bro. You instantly ran. You didn't even look
As much
back.
as you're angry right now, of course I ran.
I'm not angry at all. I'm
You
not angry at all.
overpulled 2 packs. You overpulled 2 packs and a boss. I had 1,400 mana left. I had to spend all of that mana to try and put it on Blizzard to save you guys in the first place, and nothing left. You weren't paying attention to party resources. You overpulled, and you weren't paying attention to where the boss was. That's not on me.
I saw the boss coming. I don't know if we could like move back faster, but yeah.
But there wasn't even
Damn.
like any like information. We are just yapping about useless stuff. Do you see my point?
I mean,
not
yeah.
on me.
But I mean, I called the boss coming though, but at that point, maybe it was too late to move back.
Like you're telling me like a rank 1 mage would not like at least to try Frost Nova there. Like you're not even like in danger.
Oh, I'm
You can at
100%
least
in
try a
danger.
Frost Nova. Like,
100%.
No, you're not.
No, 100% in danger. When your shot color says run, it's time to run, you run. That is how that works. You were the shot color, you called for run, I ran.
I'm not a shot
And
caller.
I was out of mana.
Actually, I'm a noob, bro. I
You
think I
called
have
the
way
shot.
less experience than you have.
Oh, dear God.
And I can still see that I can at least use a Frost Nova there. Or at
Okay,
least try
then go-
something.
go roll
you
a
were
mage
the
and do
first
it.
person that ran away and didn't even look back. Literally.
This is the
You didn't even
second
say
time.
anything.
This
You
is
could
the
have at
second.
least said like the
Wait,
boss.
you're just
going
gonna talk over me? Is that what we're doing now? We're just gonna talk over me? Is that all? Is that all
I'm
we're
just
doing?
giving you my points.
Okay. You done giving your point? You good?
Yes. I'm done.
Okay. Cool. You go roll a mage then. See you around. Jesus.
I don't think that's.
Insane shit. No. That is outrageous, dude. You can't blame me for that shit. You make a bad poll, you make a bad call, that's on you, not on anybody else.
Yaflid donated $69.69 to charity.
They give the $69.69 to charity. You're awesome as hell. Yeah, no. They pull that with the mage at no mana left. And they pull 2 packs and a boss. What the hell am I supposed to do for them? I could have Frost Nova'd, and the boss would still run him down and kill him. It's not on me. Not at all. Insane shit to see that. Yeah, it's just him trying to blame somebody because he doesn't want to blame himself. That's a mistake on them. And I'm not going to get blamed for that. Not my fault at all. Yeah, not at all.
You lie! You lie!
Wow, this is Donald Trump and MAGA Mike Johnson's worst night.
Oh, don't mind the news. Have a good day, everybody.